trusted alarm service company and a platinum-level Honeywell authorized security dealer, one of 22 nationally and only 2 in Illinois. And you'll always speak live with a team member. Active Alarm offers the newest equipment, including security, fire, access control, video systems, and the most responsive technical support. So if you need your first alarm system, an updated system, or monitoring, call Active Alarm Company for your free security analysis and quote at 847-438-2600 or visit activealarm.com. The protection pros at Active Alarm Company are A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Honeywell authorized security dealer. That's 847-438-2600 or online at activealarm.com. License number 127000541.
5:07. Let's get an update on the roads, and we do that in our AM 560 Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. It's been a pretty quiet night, and it remains quiet right now. Some overnight road work is wrapped up on the Kennedy, and the express lanes are now open on the inbound side. No delays to report in the express or the locals. The outbound Ryan still has some work, 87th and Split. 2 left lanes are closed till 6 this morning, but no delays there. Southbound I-65 at State Road 2, the right lane's blocked for some maintenance. Otherwise, the expressways and tollways look great. Little fog here and there, but not seeing any flight delays, hardly any. Traffic is a service of Geico Insurance. Hey, Chicago, Geico now has even more ways to save you money. Your local Geico agent is ready to deliver personal service you need, the savings you love. Call 773-582-AUTO. That's 773-582-AUTO for your local Geico agent. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer is next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. The latest with our meteorologist Holly Holdren.
Mostly cloudy today with a little rain late in the afternoon, high 45. Rain tonight, low 38. Cloudy and mild on Friday with a high of 46. Then look for a passing shower Friday night, low 43. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560, The Answer.
Heavy fog rolling in the western suburbs. 33 at O'Hare, 34 along the lakefront. Next news at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour radio show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshell Financial Group.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Amy, are you there? Amy?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, Amy. So we've got to disclose here. I'm in L.A. I've gone Hollywood. I've retained Ari Emanuel to pursue my dream of dreams for the silver screen. And you're there in Chicago.
Yes, I am, and it's wonderful here, Dan. Sunshine. Just kidding. No.
You know, it's interesting, actually, here in L.A., Westlake Village, actually, to be specific.
I love Westlake. My aunt lives there. Will you go drive by her house and say hi?
I'll stop by and offer her your regards. It's only about 10 degrees warmer here than it is in Chicago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
The nice thing is, though,
what?
At the Four Seasons, so why go outside?
Sweet. Living the good life. How was your event last night? Because we should tell people you're in L.A. because you spoke at a forum, or was it a company forum?
Yeah, for Salem, the Salem Radio Network, their annual managers meeting. I had the pleasure of participating in a panel moderated by His Eminence, Hugh Hewitt, that included the Sage of South Central, Larry Elder, and Katie Pavlich, as well as little old me representing the Windy City. And it was talking about Trump, opportunities, concerns, predictions. It was all very good. And a note there, some kind of good news to send back to Base Camp. Our very own Marcus Brown.
Yeah.
You know, he's our program director, Amy.
Yeah, been my boss for 6 years. I love him.
That's right. That Marcus Brown. Digital Superstar Award from the company. Yeah.
Yay.
You should have heard his tearful acceptance speech.
Well, did he see it coming, or were there prepared remarks?
He did a bit of a Sally Field.
Oh, he
did a "you like me, you really like me." It was a little uncomfortable after about 12 minutes, but it was nice nonetheless. And so Chicago recognized we're we're not me and you, but we're in terms of like the management of our station. We're kind of a big deal out here.
Really?
I find out. Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah. We're pretty important to the company.
Did he get some hardware with it, or maybe
he did? He got
padding in his check.
He got a nice plaque and I think some gift certificates to Target or gift cards. I guess we don't do gift certificates anymore.
You had to say that.
So
that's inside baseball between Dan and I.
You're still looking for the Target gift card that was supposed to be mine, that I was going to appropriate to you, and then it just kind of disappeared into the ether, and this has been bothering you since Christmas.
Yes, it's okay. Yeah. I'm going to let it go.
Well, here's something else we can let go.
Somebody stole from me. Yes.
Something else we can let go is the Obama presidency, because it's on the 24-hour clock. Gave his final press conference yesterday, speaking of tearful addresses. Not President Obama, but all of the assembled members of the Washington Press Corps could barely contain their sorrow as they pretended to ask him important questions. Here's President Obama, though. One of the main questions that was going to be asked and answered is, give us some explanation of the thinking behind the Chelsea Don't Call Me Bradley Manning pardon.
First of all, let's be clear. Chelsea Manning has served a tough prison sentence. It has been my view that given she went to trial, that due process was carried out, that she took responsibility for her crime, that the sentence that she received was very disproportionate relative to what other leakers had received, and that she had served a significant amount of time, that it made sense to commute and not pardon her sentence.
So do you feel better about the commutation now? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line, 646-36D8, turnkey.pro. Text line. Amy, would you like to revise and extend your review of that commutation in light of that powerful explanation?
To me, it all seems politically motivated. I mean, he gave really no solid reason to persuade me otherwise that this is just a political move on his part. To try, and that if Chelsea Manning wasn't going through the change, that she would still be behind bars in serving 35 more years behind bars.
Yeah, there's a good piece. David French, again, a friend at National Review, had a good piece on this yesterday. And French has a little bit of street cred on this issue. He served in the JAG Corps in Iraq. So he talks knowingly about the military, and his piece is essentially, look, sometimes we apply the model of civilian justice to military justice, and there's an important distinction. And the distinction, the key to military justice, and as David French writes, is in the civilian system, we tend to think only of justice. Does the punishment fit the crime? Are we punishing the guilty? Are we vindicating the rights of their victims? That was the argument that Obama was making. But there's an additional supplemental goal to military justice. And he cites the manuals for court-martial, the manual for court-martial in explaining this. The purpose of military law is to promote justice, to assist in maintaining good order and discipline in the armed forces, to promote efficiency and effectiveness in the military establishment, and thereby strengthen the national security of the United States. In other words, military justice has the additional purpose of making the armed forces more cohesive and effective, in addition to punishing bad acts by service members. And military justice, in French's words, helps preserve the warrior ethos. So it's not so simple as to say what Obama said in a civilian justice context, because there's this additional objective with military justice.
Yeah, and I don't think it sends a message to people, other possible leakers out there. I mean, he said she took responsibility for her crimes, and it was a disproportionate sentence to what other leakers have received. But there's a lot of disproportionate sentences out there, including Rod Blagojevich's.
Oh, here we go.
I know. Well, I'm just saying that's an example. You talk about disproportionate sentencing. That's another example. And he didn't pardon Rod yet.
Well, first of all, just to pull that back for 1 minute, this is not a disproportionate sentence. It was also a disproportionate leak. That's the piece of the puzzle that Obama and his apologists don't want to address with respect to Chelsea, don't call me Bradley Manning. The idea that other leakers, well, not all leakers are similarly situated. And what Manning did in releasing 750,000 documents to WikiLeaks indiscriminately, it was just a document dump. He was a low-level enlistee. As Andy McCarthy points out, we don't know the full extent of the damage that willy-nilly document dump did because, for all kinds of good reasons and obvious reasons, the federal government and the military in particular not going to tell us all of the damage that was done. They'll talk about it in general terms. The damage should be obvious. Acts of treason are damaging to national security. That's pretty linear. But they're not going to give us the details of just how many assets were compromised, how many people's lives were put into danger, what the kind of secondary and tertiary effects of releasing all these documents was. We know from testimony at Manning's trial that, for example, bin Laden was particularly interested in some of the documents that related to troop levels and troop movements in Afghanistan. So, how do you assess the deleterious impact of putting that kind of information in the hands of terrorist leaders, including, one of the masterminds of 9/11? So, the whole kind of line of argumentation that this was some kind of disproportionate sentence and Bradley Manning, Chelsea, don't call me
Chelsea,
Bradley
don't
Manning.
call me Manning.
Yeah. But well, he served 6 years, 5 years, so he's already paid a stiff price. Not really. And that's why the 35-year sentence was meted out in the first place.
Well, what do you think he should do with Julian Assange? Because Assange said if his sentence is commuted, I'll come back to the United States.
Well, it's clear from what Obama said that this is no prisoner exchange, as it were, a la Bo Bergdahl and 5 Taliban terrorist leaders, which, so the president's not averse to it. But it's clear that he did this of his own volition, independent of whether Julian Assange keeps his word per his tweet or not. So, I hope Julian Assange is brought to justice. As we said through the entirety of the campaign, just because WikiLeaks was releasing those Podesta emails and it exposed John Podesta and so many Democrats for the craven hypocrites that they are, it detailed the disdain they have for the American people, the so-called deplorables, doesn't mean Julian Assange is a good guy. Doesn't mean he's wearing a white hat. He's not wearing a white hat. And by the way, this should be obvious, but it's not to so many.
He's getting sick of living in the basement.
And neither is Chelsea, don't call me Bradley Manning. Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, President Obama explains why voter fraud is fake news. But first, here's your forecast. Today, mostly cloudy, milder. We're going to have some fog this morning and light rain by this afternoon, high of 45 degrees. Tomorrow, Friday, fog in the morning, otherwise cloudy and mild. But the big news is Saturday, we could hit 60 degrees. Wow. Let's get those travel times. Anything spectacular on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. It's been a pretty quiet early morning. We're now seeing some mild delays on the inbound Rhine and the inbound Bishop Ford in the usual places. Slow on the Bishop Ford, Cottage Grove to the merge. Slow on the Rhine, Roosevelt into the Burn Circle. No more than a 2-minute delay in either place. The outbound Rhine still has some overnight work. 87th to the split. 2 left lanes are closed there till 6, but not seeing any delays. The other expressways and tollways are looking great. In some areas, visibilities are reduced. There's some fog, and in some areas it's increasing, so do allow safe following distance. Otherwise, right now, things are pretty good. Jim Talamonte in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Mike Rowe here for 1 hour. Today, Chuck is jogging in place to make a point about energy efficiency.
I thought I was training for a marathon.
He's been at it now for...
3 minutes.
And already he's wearing out.
I'm not.
Your heating and air conditioning systems are a lot like Chuck.
Warm yet somehow cool.
Wheezing, wasting energy, and probably headed for replacement.
You're talking about the air systems, right?
Sure, pal. Sure. Call 1 hour before it's too late.
Can you do the disclaimer for me?
Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Thanks.
2 little tablets is all it takes to make your thin hair feel and look thicker and fuller, guaranteed. Viviscal is clinically researched to promote existing hair growth from men and women. You'll love your hair growth results, guaranteed. Viviscal is so effective, it's recommended by top doctors. Want to try Viviscal? Every listener that calls now gets a 90-day risk-free supply plus free shipping. Call now, 800-347-5776. 800-347-5776. That's 800-347-5776.
You've heard of living trusts and how they can help protect your assets, but you may not know if a living trust is right for you. Or maybe you have questions about creating your own living trust. The fact is, almost everyone can benefit from a living trust, which can protect your assets from the court system and your loved ones from unnecessary expense and inconvenience. Learn more at a free seminar Wednesday, January 25th. Estate planning attorney Robert Zapolis will explain how to create your own living trust, estate planning under the new tax laws, why a will does not avoid probate, and more. Have your estate planning and living trust questions answered absolutely free. Don't miss this important seminar Wednesday, January 25th at 6:30 p.m. at Papa Joe's Restaurant, 145th and LaGrange Road in Orland Park. The seminar is free and a complimentary dinner is served, but you must make a reservation now. Call 708-478-1400. Call 708-478-1400. Again, 708-478-1400.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Chuck Spaveri, CEO of Spaveri's Custom Counters, a Chicagoland manufacturer of residential and commercial countertops. If there's a local commercial bank who knows how to get a deal done, it's Signature Bank. When my brother and I needed it, Signature Bank came through with a creative financing solution. That's because Signature Bank has experience working with companies like ours, a second-generation, family-owned and operated manufacturer. Our business matters to Signature Bank, and that comes through in every visit and every phone call with their team, right up to the bank's co-founders, Kevin, Mick, and Brian. Spaveri's is proud to bank with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Talking about Obama's last presser, his bon voyage to the D.C. press corps, and he had an admonition for them, Amy.
Oh, I loved it.
As he did for so many. And see if you can catch yet another grammatical error, maybe he just doesn't know what the word is, from the greatest intellect Western civilization has ever seen.
I have enjoyed working with all of you. That does not, of course, mean that I've enjoyed every story that you have filed, but that's the point of this relationship. You're not supposed to be sycophants. You're supposed to be skeptics. You're supposed to ask me tough questions.
Wait, sycophants? What is
Sycophants.
Sycophants.
That's like
is that the name
Army
of your barbecue
Corps,
band?
Marine Corps, Marine Corps. A sycophant.
Sycophant.
Sycophant. Sycophantic.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the actual English word I think he was attempting, and you shouldn't attempt multisyllabic words like that if you're not prepared. You should practice.
I wouldn't dare touch it, Dan, but I really was surprised. I mean, he was very gracious to the media. It was almost as if he was saying goodbye to his children who are going off to college.
I have enjoyed working with all of you. That does not, of course, mean that I've enjoyed every story that you have filed,
Yes.
but that's the point of this relationship. You're not supposed to be sycophants. You're supposed to be
it's still the same.
skeptics.
I mean, you
You're
can play it
supposed
as
to
many
ask
times
me
as you want.
tough
He still says
questions.
sycophant.
You're not supposed to be complimentary, but you're supposed to cast a critical eye on folks who hold enormous power and make sure that we are accountable to the people who sent us here.
So basically, he was telling them that he has enormous power and they were supposed to be critical of him, which I don't think they were. I think the media gave him a pass for 8 years.
No. He's talking about prospectively. He's not talking. He enjoys the sycophancy of the media, the D.C. press corps. This is for people that are not him. You're supposed to apply a rigorous standard of accountability, because after he got done lecturing them about being in the tank for politicians, including the most powerful politician in the world, the President of the United States, the response from the media was sycophancy.
Under your watch, people have said that you have expanded the rubber band of inclusion, and with the election and the incoming administration, people are saying that rubber band has recoiled and maybe is even broken. And I'm thinking back to a time on Air Force One going to Selma, Alabama, when you said your job was to close the gaps that remain. And with that, what gaps still remain when it comes to rights issues on the table? And also, what part will you play in fixing those gaps in your new life? And
it's boy, that was such a probing question. People say, meaning us, that you expanded the rubber band of inclusion. Those same people, meaning us, now say that has snapped back. How will you continue to be great in your post-presidency? Those are the kind of hard-hitting questions that Obama is demanding of the press.
Well, what I learned yesterday, I mean, first of all, I have to admit, Dan, I fell asleep for 17 minutes of it. I tried. I watched at the beginning and then I watched at the end, but he basically said you can't do this job alone and you can't surround yourself with people who only agree with you. So it was a direct shot at Donald Trump. And what scares me is he's really not going to be leaving the office of the presidency. Yes, he's moving out, as Mike Gallagher has said many times. He's moving his stuff out, but he's remaining in D.C., and he's not going to remain quiet. And a person that pointed that out really well yesterday was Rick Santorum. He's now working for CNN, and talked about how conservatives were fearful when they watched his last press conference.
You know, as the conservative on the panel here, this is a painful thing for conservatives to watch. I mean, it really was, because
Obama leaving?
No, just listening to his laying out of all these things that he's going to continue to go out there and speak on. When, number one, presidents generally don't do that. Presidents generally leave and then go away and allow things to function without him. But I think you're right, Gloria. I think he's made the case. No, I think I'm going to stick around, and I don't think that's helpful.
Do you agree?
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't agree with the sweater vest. I think it's a bad fashion statement. I also don't agree with that statement.
He's not wearing a sweater vest yesterday.
Well, I'm just saying as a general rule. I'm just trying to point that out.
But as a general rule, don't presidents, they butt out during the next coming administration, and they kind of sit this one out and watch and don't insert themselves?
That's the protocol. That doesn't mean it needs to be followed. It's just a protocol. It's not the rule of law. And I disagree with Santorum that it's so painful. It's not painful. Not painful. You want to chime in? You want to continue to assert yourself? Go ahead. That 60% approval rating that you're leaving the White House with, that will come crashing down. By the way, Hugh Hewitt made this point last night in our little confab. Warren G. Harding, one of the worst presidents in American history, had a 60% approval rating on his way out the door, too. Some of that approval rating may just be the graciousness of the American people saying, fine, I approve, now leave. And then it's all, of course, the battle to properly characterize the results of the Obama presidency for the annals of history. But I'm not hurt. I'm not in pain as Rick Santorum. The press conference was boring because President Obama's a bore. But just remember this, a little twofer, a little instant request here, a little twofer both for President Obama and as a little hat tip to a bygone era called the Clinton era. "24 hours away, Amy."
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Last winter was pretty much a piece of cake, but this winter, we're told, is gonna be a doozy.
Well, the Farmer's Almanac forewarns that bitterly cold, if not downright frigid, numbing cold weather will be predominating over these parts this winter.
Not looking good, but you can be ready. Smart businesses rely on Air Comfort to keep them and their customers warm this expected frigid winter. Air Comfort is one of the largest commercial and industrial service groups in the Chicago area, with dedicated factory-trained technicians that take a scientific approach to analyzing your system. They have comprehensive year-round preventative maintenance programs and emergency service, plus design, build, and install equipment for new construction and retrofits of existing mechanical systems. Now is a great time to call Air Comfort and schedule an analysis of your company's mechanical system by their certified award-winning engineering team. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
If you own or manage a company with recycling needs, your goal is to maximize profits while minimizing waste. Chicagoland is home to a leading recycling company stacked with experts in the latest technology and innovation to effectively manage a wide range of industrial waste, including paper, plastic, cardboard, pallets, as well as shredding and document destruction. For over 3 decades, eco and profit-conscious companies have depended on Combined Resources, Inc. for customized strategies and solutions based on company operational processes. Clients work directly with a Combined Resource partner to ensure first-rate customer care, commitment, and convenience. It's easy to find out how your company can benefit from their first-rate recycling services. Request a free audit by calling 630-916-1804 or visit combinedresources.us. Maximizing recycling profits and minimizing waste. That's 630-916-1804 or online at combinedresources.us.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, we'll explain why a Michigan teacher won't let students watch Trump's inauguration. And guess what? The real reason Chris Christie didn't get a White House job. But first, let's go into the newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. 33 and fog. State media in Iran this morning reporting 30 firefighters were killed battling a blaze in a high-rise building that suddenly collapsed. The disaster struck the iconic Palasko building in central Tehran. Italian authorities say 30 are missing after an avalanche buried a mountain hotel in the central part of that country. Italian news reports say some guests sent out text messages to emergency operators advising they were trapped inside. President-elect Donald Trump and his family traveled to Washington today ahead of tomorrow's inauguration, an inaugural event you'll hear right here on AM 560, The Answer, beginning about 10 a.m. Meantime, George H.W. Bush is following his doctor's orders and will be comfortably indoors ahead of tomorrow's inauguration. Trump will put final touches on that, while the Bush family spokesperson Gary McCarthy explains why the former president was admitted to a Houston hospital.
The president was having problems breathing due to some obstruction in his lungs, and so they had to put a tube in there to get the obstructions out.
The 41st president did, however, bring out his sense of humor when he sent President-elect Trump a letter dated January 10th explaining why he would not be attending. He wrote, "My doctor says if I sit outside in January, it will put me 6 feet under. Same for Barbara," end quote. The 92-year-old Bush said he and his wife will stay in Texas, but will be with Trump and the country in spirit. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry goes before the Senate Energy Committee today in Washington. Step one on being confirmed as U.S. Energy Secretary. More than 24 Jewish community centers across the country are facing another wave of bomb threats. The Community Centers Association says as many as 27 bomb threats were received at Jewish centers in 17 states yesterday. Ricky Gray has been executed for the murder of 2 young sisters in 2006. Gray, pronounced dead at 9:42 Eastern Time last night, sentenced to die for the 2006 slayings of 4-year-old Ruby Harvey and her 9-year-old sister, Stella. 4 Chicago police officers who were at the scene of a 2014 fatal shooting of Laquan McDonald have been suspended for failing to ensure their dashboard cameras in their squad cars were operating properly. And police are warning residents in the southwest suburb of Indian Head Park to stay in their homes as a search continues for a suspect in a violent home invasion there. Last night in Chicago sports, Drake beat Southern Illinois, Northern Iowa over Loyola in double overtime, and the Redbirds of Illinois State beat Bradley, their 8th straight win. And White Sox fans celebrating with outfielder Tim Raines, who spent 5 seasons on the South Side and is now headed for the Baseball Hall of Fame. The news service of LifeLock, grabbing coffee or breakfast. If you swipe your card, you leave a trail of digital information thieves can use to steal your identity. Ever hear of LifeLock? Their U.S.-based team of specialists help resolve identity theft problems. Go to lifelock.com now. Use promo code RISK to save 10%. 5:36 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher tells the president it's time to worry about other things.
But Mr. Putin is well aware of my feelings about this because I spoke to him directly about it.
Mr. President, you got to just pack. You just got to pack your bags. You got to pack up the furniture. You just got to pack up your furniture. You got to get the movers all lined up. You're moving out. You're not going to retaliate against Russia.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Galaxy's free sale. Free installation, free design, and free financing.
773-783-8300. Call Galaxy.
If I only had more leads. If I only had more prospects to sell to. Sound familiar? The Sales Prospecting Group is ready to help you take your business to the next level. The Sales Prospecting Group is a local Chicagoland company that has helped hundreds of companies nationwide to secure new business by getting them in the door. The Sales Prospecting Group will get you appointments with qualified prospects to help you grow your business. They don't use contract labor or offshore callers. Their in-house staff of business account executives are highly trained, professional, and effective. The Sales Prospecting Group will build a custom campaign specifically for your business. They know how to navigate complex corporate hierarchies to get to the right people and get you connected with them. The Sales Prospecting Group specializes exclusively on B2B sales. Call the Sales Prospecting Group now to learn how they could help your business grow in 2017. 630-701-9052. 630-701-9052. The Sales Prospecting Group. It's time to grow.
5:38, and let's get a check of the roads at our AM 560 Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The 8 into the Kennedy remain delay-free. Inbound Eisenhower a little slow now, 17th to Des Plaines Avenue. 30 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound fine at 29. Inbound Stevenson delays start at Harlem. 38 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound fine at 34. Ryan has a 2-minute delay from Cermak to downtown. I-57, 16 minutes. I-80 to the merge. Bishop 420. Tollways are fine. Traffic is a service of Azul Beach Resort 5, Playa del Carmen Luxury Resorts and Residences by Charisma. Now until March 31st, Azul Beach Resort The Fives, Playa del Carmen. Starts at $132 per person per night. Book now at bookthefives.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Cloudy, mild, fog this morning, some of it very thick in spots. Then a bit of rain this afternoon, high 45. Currently, we have 33. Next news at 6. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by 1 Hour, together with Mike Rowe, encouraging you to choose licensed technicians to service your home. Call 1 Hour today, 855-1-HOUR.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I'm in L.A. Amy's in Chicago. I may or may not return. Amy may or may not stay in Chicago.
Well, we're Skyping back and forth, and that watercolor painting behind you, you have got to shove that in your carry-on bag for me.
Thank you for noticing. In my retirement, like George W. Bush, I've gotten into watercolors. I'm doing a little painting, and so this is how I pass the time. It's very soothing, kind of gets me to that spiritual center, that place I like to be, aligns my biorhythms and so forth.
Yeah, you should tweet a picture of that out, because I want that.
I will. You should have seen me last night on that panel, this spicy little number I wore. We want to do a little bit of a roundup on the inaugural. I mean, especially after last night's big queer dance party outside Mike Pence's house in Maryland.
How many people showed up?
They put it at a couple hundred people showed up for the queer dance party. Not sure if Mike Pence and his wife actually went out to
Came out
cut
and did
a
their
rug.
dance, their Elaine
Yeah.
DeGeneres dance.
Yeah,
Ooh, Ellen
yeah.
DeGeneres, I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, did somebody bring a disco ball, and were they wearing fun costumes? And
Well, the important point is that that's the formal kickoff of the inaugural week festivities, the queer dance ball outside the VP-elect's house. And so now we've got more activities coming up today, including the president-elect's schedule, Amy.
yeah, Donald Trump is going to fly to Washington, D.C. on a military aircraft. He and Mike Pence are going to lay a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown at Arlington Cemetery.
Nice
Then they're going to
touch.
go to a Make America Great concert on Lincoln Memorial. That's where Toby Keith is going to perform 3 Doors Down. Did I get that right? 3 Doors
Yes.
Down. And others.
Here Without You. Do you want me
Yeah.
to? Yeah, you know
Sing-
that
do you
song.
wanna
know
sing
Three
it?
Doors Down? No,
Huh?
I don't.
Then they're
nobody
gonna,
wants to
he's
do
going to
that.
spend the night at the Blair House and walk across the street tomorrow morning to have coffee with President Obama. It's, keeping with tradition. And then all the festivities begin. And hopefully he's been working on his inauguration speech. He wrote it himself. So I hope it's not in tweet characters, 120 characters or less for each comment that he has to make about each subject matter. And then the
Yeah.
parade's going to happen, and then there's going to be 3 balls.
Well, his speechwriter, Stephen Miller, I think, will probably spruce
edit it?
spruce that up a bit so it's not like a Robin Williams comedy show, just kind of stream of consciousness, including with the applausometer. Let's hope that's the case. I suspect it will be. But here's the thing. Here's a question for you. As a parent of 2 young men, Peyton and Eli, will you allow Peyton and Eli to watch the Trump inaugural address? And if Peyton and Eli are Cub Scouts, and if they're not, they should be, or Girl Scouts, because I don't want to judge, would you allow them to participate in the inaugural festivities, like walk in the inaugural parade? Because the reason I asked this question, 2 reasons. One is the Girl Scouts are under fire, having to defend their involvement with the Donald Trump inaugural parade.
What, were they trying to sell cookies on the side without a permit?
No, just participating.
Oh,
just
really?
participating is generating criticism. You should be boycotting. This is from the hysterical left. You should be boycotting. The Boy Scouts of America, also several military veterans organizations participating in the parade on Friday, but the presence of the Girl Scouts is in particular a source of controversy, a source the left is trying to use to generate controversy because of Trump's comments about women and so forth. So if Peyton and Eli are or were in the Girl Scouts, would you allow them to walk in the parade? And then a related story, this Michigan 4th grade teacher is not going to air the inaugural speech by Trump, not because he's a liberal. Listen to what he said. Because I'm concerned about my students and your children being exposed to language and behavior that is not in concert with the most conservative social and family values, I have decided to show the inauguration Donald Trump this Friday, but we will not view Mr. Trump's inauguration speech, he wrote, this teacher in Williamston, Michigan. So what about that? Are you going to allow your kids to watch the inaugural speech, or if they're a member of a particular Girl Scout or Boy Scout troop, would you allow them to walk in the inaugural parade? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro. Text line, Ms. Jacobson.
Well, the message that teacher in Michigan is sending to the kids is that the president is a bad guy and kids shouldn't watch him. I mean, of course, I'm recording it for my kids because they're going to be in school tomorrow, when the inauguration takes place, and we can watch it afterwards in its entirety. But the reasoning behind this is ridiculous. I'm sick of Trump being vilified. I'm sick of the left being hysterical, and they have every right to go to D.C. for all their different protests and everything, but you have to respect the office of the presidency, even if you don't respect the man. And that's the message I think that should be sent out. And my gosh, if my kids were in Girl Scouts, I hope not, or more Boy Scouts, I would want them, if they were asked to participate, of course I would let them go. I mean, they'd be part of history. They'd be witnessing history and be a part of it.
So you're going to sit down with the boys and watch the speech with them on Friday.
Well, do you know what Peyton's English teacher did yesterday? They made them watch Barack Obama's farewell speech from a week and a half ago.
Well, she was just trying to get them to sleep. She's just trying to get the kids to nap time.
No, she said, this is historical. This is, he started in Chicago. It ended in Chicago. We were watching this, and then they had to write a paper on it and what they learned. I mean, you talk about brainwashing. Whew.
That's in between their classes on Catholic bigotry and on preparing for Rahm's reelection.
Exactly.
Right? That's in between those two classes, part of their...
Yeah, and underwater basket weaving. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Mike on the north side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. It's funny that you bring up Rahm's reelection because since you are seriously considering retirement, I've got a suggestion for you for a new job.
Mm-hmm.
I am starting a new political party to run against Rahm. It is the LGBT party, and in this case, it stands for Love Guns, Bacon, and Trump. And
I think bacon. Can't go wrong with bacon.
I think by appealing to the right people and not campaigning to the wrong people, we can win this election. Like, there are certain people, like, the Lincoln Park Trixies, I don't even want them to vote for me. I mean, people you can't depend on. Like, if you've ever spent more than $100 on a sports jersey for yourself but nothing for your kid, I don't want you. If you've ever ordered deep dish pizza with pineapple and low-fat mozzarella or turkey sausage, I don't want you. If you have 3 types of wine in your fridge but only 1 type of mustard, I don't want you. If you've never been to the Wisconsin Dells, but you know the difference between Acapulco, Cancun, and Cabo, I don't want you.
Wow.
If you memorize the seating chart for the Lyric Opera and the Symphony Center, I don't want you. But
I'm out, Mike. Mike, I'm out. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll just take your money and your expertise. You can work for the campaign.
Are there any other planks in that platform? Because I don't want to limit the strictures here.
There are certain people I am going to try to appeal to. Like, if you know Bill Belton's nickname, I want your vote. If you know what day the Forest Preserve District drops off the new picnic tables, and if you've ever taken one home and borrowed one for the whole summer, I want your vote. If you know which 2 drinks make up a Chicago handshake, I want your vote. If you've ever cashed a personal check at a bar, even after ATMs, or placed a bet at a barbershop, you're Chicago, and I want your vote.
That's awesome.
If you've ever taken someone fishing on a first date, I want your vote. And if you've ever worn bowling shoes or a clean bowling shirt to church on the day of a big match, you're Chicago, I want your vote.
Oh, that's great.
I'll tell you what, Mike from the north side for mayor. I mean, I'm very mixed in terms of my ability to abide the platform, but then also the characteristics that you're seeking in voters that you would like to cast their ballots for you or for your nominee of the LGBT party. Mike, you have got to send that to us so that we can post it, the platform and the voters you're looking for, the characteristics of the voters you're looking for, so that we can, begin the revolt in Chicago. Very well done, and I'm going to kind of re-examine my life now that you formed this political party. Appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for the call.
Remember, love guns, bacon, and Trump.
How could I forget? Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today it's going to be mostly cloudy, some fog this morning, otherwise a little rain, light rain I should say, by this afternoon, a high of 45 degrees. And tomorrow morning fog once again, otherwise cloudy and mild, a high of 46. And on Saturday, get out your swimsuits. It's going to be mostly cloudy skies, a high near 60 degrees. Any high travel times? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Not yet, Amy. That's the good news. No delays at all to report on the Aidens. Kennedy, just a little congestion out of the River Road toll. The express lanes are open inbound. The Eisenhower slow 17th to past Harlem. 31 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound still fine at 29. Inbound Stevenson delays start at Harlem. 39 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. It's clear outbound. Ryan, 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 16 minutes. I-80 to the Merge, Bishop 420. Tolls are good. Southbound I-65 at State Road 2. There is some road work, some maintenance going on in the right lane, but traffic's light. I'm Jim Talamonte in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas. Online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here. You know, the best home improvement decision I ever made was to call CertaPro Painters. No joke. Last spring, their trained, talented painters magically reformed my porch. Property values actually went up. But now that winter is set in, let's get your interior painting done, and CertaPro Painters are the only ones to call. You know, CertaPro Painters is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, and we invite you to experience the CertaPro difference. When they come into your home, they are so quiet they won't wake a baby, and guess what? The best part is they clean up after themselves. So with this new year, you should refresh and renew your living space. Book your interior painting project today. For a free estimate, call our good friends over there at CertaPro at 1-800-GO-CERTA, that's CERTA with a C, or visit CertaPro.com. And we invite you to experience the CertaPro difference. I'm glad I called them. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
It's a great American story. The company started with just 2 cars, operating out of a spare room in a house in the western suburbs. With hard work and making every customer important, 47 years later, A1 Airport Limousine is one of the largest transportation companies in America. Wouldn't you or your company like to do business with a company that shares your American values? Try A1 right now and say, "Give me 10." Get 10% off your first trip. Individuals, groups, airport runs, companies, any transportation need, small or large, A1 is the A1 choice. They're reliable, professional, and on time. Call now and say, "Give me 10." 10% off your first ride. 630-833-3788. 630-833-3788. Or book online and ask for the 10% discount at a1limousine.com. Give your business to a business that shares your values. A1 is the A1 transportation choice.
I'm Dan Proft.
And I'm Amy Jacobson.
And we want to say thanks to each and every one of you who helped us to reach our goal of providing food for a year and water for life for 2,000 kids and counting in Haiti and Guatemala.
Your generosity means that these children will have a shot at living a happy and healthy life despite the enormous challenges they face.
And just because the Christmas season is over and we're starting a new year, that doesn't mean the need has gone away. You can still make a difference in the life of a child by making a $50 donation to Food for the Poor. Food for the Poor is one of America's largest and most trusted charities. Since 1982, they've been helping the poorest of the poor by directing resources directly to those in the greatest need.
Just call 855-880-3663. That's 855-880-FOOD, or go to 560theanswer.com, keyword food.
And thanks to the many business benefactors who supported this campaign, when you hear their ads on the radio station this year, we'd ask that you support their businesses as a way of thanking them for their generosity.
Here at HealthQuest, our high standard of health care doesn't come from a sickness care perspective, and neither should yours. And if you're not as healthy as you should be and you're sick and tired of those health challenges, please call us. As we say here at HealthQuest, don't just stand there, do something. Do something good for yourself. Just this one time. This is Dr. David Kobaba. If you're like me and my wonderful HealthQuest staff, well, we know how much you love helping others in this challenging world of ours. Now, if you could raise your level of health and wellness, well then you could be of greater service to those you know and love. What a great perspective, but you've got to put this intention into action. So just don't stand there. Do something. Call our HealthQuest radio hotline right now, 1-800-794-1855. Do it now for yourself and a better future with higher health. 1-800-794-1855.
Last year's mild winter was nice. So far, we haven't been so lucky. Snowstorms, bitter cold, and it's only January, the price we pay for living here. So it's important to have a heating and cooling company you know you can depend on. That company is the original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling. They aren't one of those massive companies with newer techs and subcontractors. Family-owned and operated, Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling send only their own highly skilled techs. From service to installation and everything in between, the work quality and customer service is the best. For nearly 4 decades, the original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling keeps homeowners and business customers comfy and warm. So don't call the big guys, call the best. Call Carrie at 847-545-1700 or visit arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.com. Mention AM 560 and receive 20% off your first service call. Call Carrie at 847-545-1700 or online at arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.com. The original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling, not the biggest, just the best.
Checking traffic on AM 560, The Answer, inbound Kennedy. Little heavy out of the River Road toll, just 21 minutes, so here to downtown, outbound 20. Eden's is still clear. The Eisenhower's 32 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 30. Stevenson now 40 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, 30 from the Tri-State. Outbound it's good. Ryan 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford 21 minutes, 80-94 to the Rhine. Tollways are still okay. Traffic as a service of Staples is your New Year's resolution to be smarter with your spending. Staples has low prices on printers, ink, and toner, and during Staples' January printing event, get up to $80 off HP OfficeJet Pro printers. Ends 1/21. Restrictions may apply. See store or staples.com. Staples, make more happen. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Mostly cloudy skies today. Little rain late this afternoon. High 45. Rain tonight also with a low 38. Cloudy and mild Friday. High 46. Mostly cloudy and mild on Saturday with a high of 56. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560, The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
From the Pilgrims at Plymouth Rock to the American Revolution to the Union's victory in the American Civil War, the divine hand of Providence has guided America's rise to greatness. Join Michael Medved as he tells the story of the American miracle. Presented by Active Alarm Company. Thursday, February 2nd at Belvedere Banquets in Elk Grove Village. Tickets for this special luncheon begin at just $32. Get yours today at 560theanswer.com/miracle. Sponsored in part by Chicago Anesthesia
Fox
and
News
Pain
Radio.
Specialists.
I'm Chris Foster. There are people trapped, dead or alive, in a hotel buried by an avalanche in central Italy, and now comes word of some survivors. Fox's Courtney Walsh is live in Rome.
Yes, well, Chris, one victim was found in the rubble, and rescue workers are digging frantically to find survivors. A 39-year-old man was rescued from his car outside the hotel where he'd gone right before the avalanche hit yesterday. But his wife and 2 children are still in the 4-star hotel. Other children were among the 22 registered guests. The avalanche happened yesterday after 4 quakes of magnitude 5.3 to 5.7 hit the area. Many people in central Italy remain isolated without electricity. Chris?
Courtney Walsh, thanks. It's President Obama's last full day in office. He's expected to announce more pardons and commutations today, mostly non-violent drug offenders serving long sentences, according to the White House. President-elect Trump moves in there tomorrow. More on the inauguration from Fox's Rachel Sutherland in D.C.
Chris, roads are starting to close here in downtown D.C. ahead of the inauguration of Mr. Trump as the nation's 45th president. Thousands of law enforcement officers and National Guard troops are here, like Lieutenant Colonel Nicole Brigado.
Our mission is truly to provide a presence to ensure a safe and secure transition of executive power.
The official inaugural activities start today with a wreath laying at Arlington National Cemetery and a Make America Great Again welcome concert at the Lincoln Memorial. Mr. Trump is expected to spend his last night as a civilian at Blair House, the presidential guest residence. Chris?
Rachel Sutherland in Washington, thanks. An ice storm is moving away from the northwest with some roads still closed.
There still will be some lingering areas that are still below freezing, still receiving a little bit of light rainfall in central Washington and northern Oregon early Thursday, and then developing also into Idaho.
Patrick Burke with the National Weather Service. The concern's flooding when the temperatures climb back up. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. From the Pilgrims at Plymouth Rock to the American Revolution to the Union's victory in the American Civil War, the divine hand of providence has guided America's rise to greatness. Join Michael Medved as he tells the story of the American miracle. Presented by Active Alarm Company. Thursday, February 2nd at Belvedere Banquets in Elk Grove Village. Tickets for this special luncheon begin at just $32. Get yours today at 560theanswer.com/miracle. Sponsored in part by Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists.
Pay fast with the Master Pass. Don't buy it. Master Pass it. Pay fast with the Master Pass. Simple and easy. Pay fast with the Master Pass. Don't buy it. Master Pass it. Pay fast with the Master Pass. Secure and so easy.
MasterPass, the simple, secure way to pay for MasterCard. Accepted at select merchants.
Don't buy it. MasterPass it.
These days, you gotta have a side hustle. And I'm not talking about a 9-to-5. I'm talking about driving with Uber. It's the ultimate side hustle. You wanna earn extra money? Drive with Uber. Have a few spare hours here and there? Drive with Uber. You like the idea of being your own boss? Drive with Uber. You'd make a great boss. You're probably driving right now. You should be earning. If you want your car to start making you money, then visit uber.com/drive now and get your side hustle on today. That's uber.com/drive now.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And Amy, do have one little sports note that we've got to address before we get into these confirmation hearings and the stiff competition between Comrade Bernie and Pocahontas to see who can be more shrill towards Trump cabinet secretary nominees. Tim Raines got his ticket punched to Cooperstown, and that is appropriate. That will serve as the highlight of the 2017 White Sox season.
That and the Hawk Harrelson alarm clock giveaway.
May 13th.
Yeah.
I've got it marked on my calendar.
Don't worry, I got something special coming your way, Danny boy. Oh,
good.
You
Very
worry.
nice.
But
Thank
the
you
thing
very
is,
much.
Tom Price, what, for most stolen bases? What's
Tim Raines.
Tim Raines, excuse me.
Tom Price is a doctor who's going to be the HH secretary.
I call him Tom.
I don't know. I don't know his stats offhand.
Seen the
but
40-40-40 club.
I don't recall him playing baseball.
Excuse me.
Yeah, Tim Raines. This was his last year too. But I mean, Tim Raines was. He played in Montreal. He played for the White Sox. He played for the Yankees. Got a couple championship rings. But for some of the prime years of his career, he was in. He just didn't have the Rickey Henderson profile, even though he was putting up Rickey Henderson numbers. And so it's just great to see Tim Raines there. It's kind of interesting too. What is the lingering effect of the steroid era? Roger Clemens, 54%. You need 75% of the vote to get in.
Right.
Roger Clemens, 54%. Barry Bonds, just under 54%.
And Sammy Sosa, just 10%.
Yes, under 10%, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
well, that's pretty bad.
8.6%.
Well, people, they remember, and they don't forgive easily.
Even Manny Ramirez, 23%.
Really?
I mean, all of those, Edgar Martinez, 58%, all of those who are implicated in steroid use, they're still suffering the consequences. Very interesting.
But the sad news is for your guy, Raines, he's going to be wearing an Expo hat.
Yeah,
not a White Sox hat.
I understand, and I don't begrudge him the Expos hat. But great ball player, and so it's nice to see.
And he was so gracious
We'll take
yesterday.
the residual benefit. We'll take the Expo sloppy seconds on the south side. We're kind of scraping right now. All right, so moving on to politics. That's kind of what we do here. Confirmation hearings. But before we get to that, George H.W. Bush, who was admitted to intensive care unit, and his wife Barbara is also in the hospital now, so that's a concern. But he, prior to that, took the time to pen Donald Trump a little note.
Yeah, and it's going viral this morning. He penned it on January 10th. He said, "Dear Donald, I don't know why I get emotional read this. Barbara and I are so sorry we can't be there for your inauguration on January 20th. My doctor says if I sit outside in January, it likely will put me 6 feet under. Same for Barbara. So I guess we're stuck in Texas, but we will be with you in the country in spirit. I want you to know that I wish you the very best as you begin this incredible journey of leading our great country. If I can ever be of help, please let me know. All the best, George H.W. Bush." And it's really, he was admitted into the ICU because they performed a procedure on him where they had to clear his airway, and that required sedation. So he's in stable, fair condition this morning. Barbara was admitted for bronchitis.
Well, look, any admission to the hospital, period, particularly when you're in your 90s, is serious business. So obviously we'll hope that both H.W. and Barbara are well and get well soon. But it's a nice piece of graciousness from a bygone era, right? And I'll give Obama credit for not flying off to Palm Beach before attending the inaugural and for exercising some restraint in the transition and not complete restraint, a lot of veiled language in the direction of Donald Trump, but some restraint nonetheless, certainly not the hysterics of the rank-and-file members of his party in Congress. But a bygone era, I was not a fan of H.W. Bush's presidency. I thought he was a mediocre president at best. But in terms of and in terms of contemplating the Bush family, what they went through this election cycle, how they were denigrated, both Jeb and W, by Trump, and for the patriarch of the family and the matriarch, from George and Barbara, to send that letter and indicate they understand that personal feuds are subordinate to the country's best interests, and they want Donald Trump to be successful because they want America to be successful. That's the subtext there. It's a nice piece of class that you don't see coming from the left, as we have seen what is coming from the left on display in these confirmation hearings.
And Donald Trump tweeted, graciously, "Looking forward to a speedy recovery for both you, George and Barbara. Thank you for your wonderful letter!" Exclamation point. So that was nice.
All right, from one extreme graciousness to the
extreme
complete,
hate,
complete lack thereof. Well, you've got you had a embarrassment of riches yesterday. At least Warren, Pocahontas, and Comrade Bernie did, because you had a couple of their top targets before Senate panels yesterday. Scott Pruitt, the EPA nominee, for Secretary of the Environmental Protection Agency, Dr. Tom Price for HHS, and this follows on the treatment that Betsy DeVos got the day before by some of these same characters. By the way, just as an aside, I can't help but watch some of these confirmation hearings and think of Dennis Miller's great and rather famous description of Congress, a bunch of mediocre intellects Earl Shived into looking somewhat consequential. That is exactly what I think when I see, for example, Patty Murray, Mom on a Mission, although the Earl Shive Bondo didn't really take with her. But nonetheless, let's start with, how about Pruitt? Oh, how about Price? How about Price? Here's Tom Price getting excoriated by Senator Pocahontas for not answering her, misdirected question.
Can you guarantee to this committee that you will safeguard President-elect Trump's promise, and while you are HHS Secretary, you will not use your administrative authority to carry out a single dollar of cuts to Medicare or Medicaid eligibility or benefits?
What the question presumes is that money is the metric. In my belief,
yes,
from a scientific standpoint, if patients aren't receiving care, even though we're providing the resources, then it doesn't work for patients.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're very limited on time. The metric is money. And the quote from the President-elect of the United States was not a long discourse on this. He said he would not cut dollars from this program. So that's the question I'm asking you. Can you assure this committee that you will not cut $1 or Medicaid should you be confirmed to this position?
Senator, I believe that the metric ought to be the care that the patients are receiving.
I take that as a no?
It's that's the wrong metric.
Well,
we ought to be putting forth the resources.
I'm not asking you whether or not you think you have a better metric. I'm asking you a question about dollars. Yes or no?
What we ought to do is put forward the resources in order to take care of the
really
patients.
Simple questions. And frankly, the millions of Americans who rely on Medicare and Medicaid today are not going to be very reassured by your notion that you have some metric other than the dollars that they need to provide these services.
Yeah, what is this wild metric that Dr. Tom Price speaks of called patient care? What is this notion? I'm confused by this, because the point of this, and per Elizabeth Warren, Senator Pocahontas, is all we care about is the inputs into the system. We just want to continue to spend at levels that are unsustainable. Medicare is functionally insolvent and has been for some time because the payroll tax doesn't come close to financing the obligations. Medicaid at the state level is a budget buster. It's the largest single expenditure in the budget in the state of Illinois and in so many others. And under Obamacare's Medicaid expansion, it's even more so the case. And because states can't finance their Medicaid program, terribly run states like Illinois, what do? Well, they don't pay medical providers. So what do medical providers do? Stop accepting Medicaid patients. So what's the net? The people you intend to help through the Medicaid program actually see their access to quality care worsen. That's why Tom Price's metric about quality care are the end result, not just the input into the system, seems to me a sensible focus. But I'm not a senator from Massachusetts, so I don't know.
Clearly, I don't know either. But
yes.
She went on with, she did not let up on him. Of course, she hit him.
But just on Elizabeth Warren, understand what she's doing there. Because remember, Medicaid expansion under Obamacare. So when she says you will not cut a single dollar of expenditure from Medicare or Medicaid, what she's essentially trying to end run and trick bag him is to say, well, you're going to keep Medicaid expansion under Obamacare in place. And guess what? We shouldn't, for the very reason I just mentioned, which is that the intended beneficiaries, when the Medicaid program was conceived, have actually seen their quality of care worsen. And oh, by the way, our great Congressional Budget Office and their modeling underestimated the cost of Medicaid expansion by 50%, which when you're trafficking in hundreds of billions of dollars turns out to be a really big number, particularly for state budgets that are, in the case of Illinois, completely upside down, but also even in cases of states that are well run, like some of the Great Lakes states around us, it eats into your surplus for no particular end, for no purpose. You're not improving the quality of care for those who are truly vulnerable and need access to this program through no fault of their own, like the developmentally disabled or indigent children for whom the program was originally conceived. So Elizabeth Warren, the point is, couldn't be more of a disingenuous leftist gas bag. I guess that's my point.
Well, and she's trying to have an I gotcha moment. And she accused him of insider trading. She accused him of a crime, and she tried to dig in.
Did you buy the stock, and then did you introduce a bill that would be helpful to the companies you just bought stock in?
The stock was bought by a broker who was making those decisions.
When you found out that your broker had made this trade without your knowledge, did you reprimand her?
What I did was comply.
Found out that she made it.
What I did was comply.
Did you fire her? Did you sell the stock?
What I did was comply with the rules of the House in an ethical and legal and above-board manner and in a transparent way.
Because you decide not to tell them? Wink, wink, nod, nod, and we're all just supposed to believe that?
It's what members of this committee, it's the manner in which members of this committee, well, I understand that, but it's important to appreciate that that's the case.
Let me just keep asking. I'm not interested in your answer. I'm interested to continue to ask questions and grandstand and make veiled accusations. I don't want information. And if you think Pocahontas was the only one, well, that's where you'd be wrong, because as HHS Secretary, this is an important issue for the Democrats. And so Patty Murray picked up where Elizabeth Warren left off.
Congressman Price.
Oh, that's not it.
Patty Murray's voice got deep, did.
She's a husky woman. But this is Patty Murray.
Congressman Price, in our meeting, you informed me that you made these purchases based on conversations with Representative Collins. Is that correct?
No,
that is what you said to me in my office.
What I believe I said to you was that I learned of the company from Congressman Collins.
What I recall our conversation was that you had a conversation with Collins and then decided to purchase the stock.
No, that's not correct.
Well, that is what I remember you hearing it say in my office. In that conversation, did Representative Collins tell you anything that could be considered, quote, a stock tip? Yes or no?
I don't believe so, no.
Well, if you're telling me he gave you information about a company, you were offered shares in the company at prices not available to the public, you bought those shares, is that not a stock tip?
Well, that's not what happened. What happened was that he talked about the company and the work that they were doing in trying to solve the challenge of progressive secondary multiple sclerosis, which is a very debilitating disease and one that
I'm well aware
had the opportunity to treat patients when I was in practice.
I'm aware
I studied the company for a period of time and felt that it had some significant merit and promise, and purchased the initial shares on the stock exchange
Congressman
itself.
Price, I have very limited time. Let me go on. Your purchases occurred while the 21st Century Cures Act, which had several provisions that could impact drug developers like innate immunotherapeutics, was being negotiated. And again, just days before you were notified to prepare for a final vote on the bill. Congressman, do you believe it is appropriate for a senior member of Congress actively involved in policymaking in the health sector to repeatedly personally invest in a drug company that could benefit from those actions? Yes or no?
Well, that's not what happened.
Well, let me just say that I believe it's inappropriate.
I mean, it's just, here's what's inappropriate. I'm running out of time, so I don't really want you to answer the question. I just want to make an accusation. Here's what I believe is inappropriate. That's not what happened. Well, that's inappropriate.
But that's not what happened. That's inappropriate.
Well, that's not what I said in your office. Well, that's what I recall you saying, because I'm setting up this accusation I want to make. So I have to recall. I mean, it's just silly. If you have something, you know what? Refer it to the authorities. Tell the SEC. Refer it to the House Ethics Committee. You know, I mean, it's just such flimsy witch hunting, frankly, that's going on here. Put the pieces together for me. Warren and Murray have vast resources. Senate Democrats have vast resources. They want to tube Tom Price if Tom Price did something wrong, if he engaged in insider trading in some form or fashion. Well, nobody's going to defend that, so prove it up. But instead, they concoct an accusation. He disputes their characterization of what happened and provide specifics, and then they just remake the accusation saying we're running out of time. Okay. Candace in DuPage, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Okay, I was listening to Limbaugh. I just happened to change the channel yesterday, I heard the tail end of this Tom Price saying that it's totally untrue, but CNN refuses to retract it because the hearing. But one thing that he made, which was an excellent point, was why with these hearings does the person who's getting questioned have to take an oath, but the people who are asking do not have to take an oath? And she lied. All of them lied that asked that particular question because it's not true, okay? So I think that is an excellent point, that if you're going to be, a senator asking a question, you should also be under oath. Because in any jury, that would be the case. The lawyer would have taken an oath. And my other point is, remember when the Tea Party got accused of saying the N-word? It was a complete lie, fabrication. I know because I saw the video. It's the same kind of thing.
Well,
They're
that's
just
it.
trying to ruin somebody's reputation.
Well, thanks for the call, Candace. There's another story out that turns out to be fake news, being misreported by the New York Times, and that's that Rick Perry didn't understand that as Secretary of Energy, the Energy Department, he would have significant responsibility with respect to the country's nuclear arsenal. The former Perry staffer who spoke to the New York Times about Perry and being Energy Secretary rejected the characterization of what the New York Times wrote and said, no, that's not what I was saying. He didn't say purposely, but they misconstrued what I was saying. Of course, Perry understood that the 2/3 of the energy budget goes to maintain the country's nuclear arsenal. So he completely understood that. But nonetheless, the New York Times is running this story, and of course it's going viral because this is Republicans are either dumb or evil or a combination of the two. And so they've got Rick Perry being dumb because, of course, of his debate performance, and now that he's going to be secretary of the agency that he forgot to mention that he wanted to eliminate when he was running for president 4 years ago. But the staffer rejects the characterization that the New York Times reports. And so when Jeff Zucker from CNN says yesterday that Trump is trying to delegitimize the media, here's what's actually happening. The D.C. press corps has beaten Donald Trump to the punch in terms of the issue of delegitimization. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, the real reason Chris Christie didn't get that coveted White House job. But first, here's your forecast. Fog for the next few mornings, and then today by this afternoon, light rain, a high of 45 degrees. Tonight, some rain, and tomorrow morning, we're going to have, again, fog in the morning, then cloudy and mild, a high of 46 degrees. Any mild conditions on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
So far, so good, Amy. Things are pretty quiet for the most part for the moment. The Edens is 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy, 25 minutes, so O'Hare to downtown, outbound 21. The Eisenhower, 36 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 30. Stevenson now 45 minutes, 355 Lakeshore Drive, fine outbound. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57 is really light. Bishop Ford, 22 minutes, 8094 to the Ryan. Toys are good. In Bentonville, there is a crash on northbound 83 at Foster. I'm Jim Talamonte, the AM 560 Traffic Center.
No more excuses, gentlemen. It's a new year, and you need to stop putting things off, especially when it comes to taking care of your health. Dan Proft here. I know we all hate going to the doctor. That's why Low T Center makes it quick and easy to get your testosterone levels checked. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with the convenience of the on-site lab, you get your results in about 20 minutes. So if you're drinking coffee or energy drinks just to get you through the day, or if you always feel like you need a nap, you may have low T. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and even cause weight gain. That's why I personally recommend going to my friends at Low T Center. They accept most health insurance. They're in-network for most providers, have flexible hours, including on Saturdays. So don't hesitate to find out what your number is this new year. I'm sure glad I did. Call my friends at Low T Center, product FDA approved, and tell them I sent you. Call 630-409-4305. That's 630-409-4305. Call Low T Center at 630-409-4305 or visit them online at lowtcenter.com.
Save big on winter travel during the Apple Vacations Great Winter Event. Explore the best beaches in Mexico and the Caribbean while Apple Vacations takes care of everything. Round-trip airfare, deluxe accommodations, all meals, drinks, and so much more. All you need to do is relax. This is an Apple Vacation. 7 nights in Huatuco at Park Royal Huatuco start from only $9.49. Or make it a full week of unlimited luxury at the adults-only Secrets Huatuco Resort and Spa starting from just $15.99. Both trips include round-trip nonstop air, resort transfers, all meals, drinks, and taxes. Call Traveloni at 312-334-7876 or visit Traveloni.com. That's 312-334-7876 or Traveloni.com. Prices per person based on double occupancy for select departures starting February 25th, including exclusive vacation flights on Volaris from O'Hare and taxes and fees, including September 11th security fee. Some services are provided by other airlines. See AppleVacations.com for baggage charges. Prices subject to availability and change. Restrictions apply. PC 16132.
Hi, this is Amy Jacobson, and I'm excited to tell you about Bert and Will Plastic Surgery and Laser Center. Childbearing, breastfeeding, weight gain, weight loss, or normal aging can cause a level of concern about our appearance. Oh, I know, and unfortunately, dieting, exercise, and healthy lifestyles aren't always enough. Dr. Bert offers the Mommy Makeover, including a tummy tuck and breast augmentation with the new memory-shaped implants. Dr. Will specializes in Botox, neck lifts, and many other procedures to uncover the beauty within. And now men and women can benefit from the great new NeoGraft hair transplant treatment that requires minimal downtime and no scarring. Doctors Bert and Will are female board-certified plastic surgeons. I've met them. I love them. I recommend you meet them too. You can receive a complimentary consultation at any of their Chicagoland offices or just register for a seminar. Call 630-930-3555 or visit UncoverMyBeauty.com. That's 630-930-3555 or UncoverMyBeauty.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about Dr. Tom Price before the Senate Star Chamber yesterday and being peppered by the likes of Senator Pocahontas, of Mom on a Mission Murray, and of course we can't leave out Comrade Bernie.
Oh, he's really trying to make a name for himself. He's very angry up there in these Senate confirmation hearings.
Yeah, well, you know, he hasn't had a bowel movement in 48 hours, so he gets a little irascible. Needs to double down on the Metamucil. So here is Bernie Sanders challenging Dr. Tom Price on the relative compassion of America as compared to the rest of the Western world. Listen to this exchange.
Congressman Price, the United States of America is the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people as a right. Canada does it. Every major country in Europe does it. Do you believe that health care is a right of all Americans, whether they're rich or they're poor? Should people, because they are Americans, be able to go to the doctor when they need to, be able to go into a hospital because they are Americans?
Yes, we're a compassionate society.
No, we are not a compassionate society. In terms of our relationship to poor and working people, our record is worse than virtually any other country on earth. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any other major country on earth, and half of our senior older workers have nothing set aside for retirement. So I don't think compared to other countries we are particularly compassionate. But my question is, in Canada, in other countries, all people have the right to get health care. Do you believe we should move in that direction?
If you want to talk about other countries' health care systems, there are consequences to the decisions that they've made, just as there are consequences to the decision that we've made. I believe, and I look forward to working with you to make certain that every single American has access to the highest quality care and coverage that is possible.
Well, Bernie Sanders, right? We're not a compassionate country. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. How about that? How about that rejoinder, Amy?
I think we're very compassionate. I think the seniors, people later in stages of life who do not set aside retirement for themselves, why is that our problem?
Well,
that's what you say, that the country, that we need to take care of them. And there are programs in place if, you know, people are down and out in their elderly years. But, I mean, we are a very compassionate country.
Yeah, and the other thing about compassion, I don't think compassion is measured in how many people that you make dependent on the largest welfare state in the Western world. I mean, that's the real disclosure there, is Bernie Sanders creating rights that require forced financing from others and a lifetime of dependency, cradle-to-grave paternalism of the federal government. That's how we measure compassion in this country. Are you on the federal dole? Is the federal government taking care of the clothing, food, shelter, medicine that you need. That's the indication of whether we're compassionate enough, not voluntary action, not the platoons of democracy, the private action that Edmund Burke talked about. And frankly, that right there, that display between Price and Bernie Sanders tells you everything you need to know about the left perspective versus the free market, individual responsibility, conservative perspective, a more compassionate perspective, I would argue. And I liked seeing those juxtaposed as they were in that exchange, because now people know the choice they have before them. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Hey, do you find yourself saying, if I only had more leads, or if I only had more prospects to sell to? Well, if that sounds familiar, let me tell you about the Sales Prospecting Group. The Sales Prospecting Group is ready to help you take your business to the next level. They are a local Chicagoland company that has helped hundreds of companies nationwide to secure new business by getting them in the door. Now, the Sales Prospecting Group will get you appointments with qualified prospects to help you grow your business. They don't use contract labor or offshore callers. Their in-house staff of business account executives are highly trained. They're professionals. They're effective. And the Sales Prospecting Group will build a custom campaign specifically for your business. They know how to navigate complex corporate hierarchies to get to the right people and get you connected with them. And they specialize exclusively on B2B sales. So call the Sales Prospecting Group now to learn how they can help your business grow in 2017. 630-701-9052. That's 630-701-9052. The Sales Prospecting Group, it's time to grow. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll review the Scott Pruitt nomination with Sterling Burnett from the Heartland Institute at 6:36.
But first, let's go into the newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. 33 degrees in fog. State media in Iran reporting at least 30 firefighters were killed while battling a blaze in a high-rise. The disaster struck the iconic Palasco building in central Tehran. Italian authorities say 30 are missing after an avalanche buried a mountain hotel in the central region of that country where recent earthquakes have struck. President-elect Donald Trump and his family travel to Washington, D.C. today ahead of tomorrow's inauguration. He'll take part in a wreath-laying ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery. Thousands of National Guard troops are in Washington, D.C. for President-elect Trump's inauguration, including Specialist Janae Nesbitt with the Michigan Army National Guard.
I'm excited for this inauguration because I support the peaceful transfer of power, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
Troops from more than 40 states began arriving yesterday. Retired Marine General James Mattis on his way to becoming the next Defense Secretary. The Senate Armed Services Committee voted 26-1 to recommend Mattis yesterday. The lone dissenter, New York Democrat Kristen Gillibrand. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry goes before the Senate Energy Committee today in Washington. Step one in being confirmed as U.S. Energy Secretary. Authorities say a man and a sheriff's department dog were severely wounded in an exchange of gunfire involving a sheriff's officer and an Indiana traffic stop. State police say the Lake County officer stopped the vehicle in Gary, and the driver and passenger fled on foot in different directions. The officer and his canine partner pursued the passenger, who ran down an alley and fired at them. The passenger and the dog were wounded in the exchange of gunfire. Another officer arrived and disarmed the suspect, who was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound. The dog, named Blade, has been rushed to the veterinary hospital at Purdue University, listed in stable condition this morning. Police are still seeking the driver. Police are warning residents in the southwest suburbs as the search for a suspect in a violent home invasion continues in Indian Head Park. And police are searching for a man suspected of breaking into a home and sexually assaulting a woman at Knife Point in Rolling Meadows. Chicago sports. In the Valley last night in college basketball, Drake beat Southern Illinois in OT. In double overtime, Northern Iowa topped Loyola. Illinois State won their 8th straight over Bradley, 69-49. And the Baseball Hall of Fame will induct Jeff Bagwell, Tim Raines, who spent 5 seasons with the White Sox, and catcher Ivan Rodriguez. The news, a service of Grasshopper. As entrepreneurs are always on the go, and that's why they created Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. Get all of the features of a business phone system and the freedom of a cell phone with their mobile apps. See how it works at grasshopper.com. Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. 6:36 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager is disappointed in today's university.
I don't think that 1 out of 1,000 college graduates knows about the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. I do believe that they know about carbon emissions, however. That is what they're taught. And, of course, they're taught about white privilege. Every college kid is taught about white privilege. It's a sick place, the university.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
With beaches, theme parks, nightlife, and more, head to Florida for your best winter ever. Plan your vacation at visitflorida.com.
I own a fast food restaurant that was broken into early this morning. They tore the alarm panel right off the wall, and alarm detection systems came in the same day to replace it.
Same-day service is available to all of our customers. Never worry about your security system. Get to know Alarm Detection Systems. ADS is an authorized Honeywell equipment dealer. Visit adsalarm.com or call 630-844-6300. Alarm license number 127000143.
I'm living alone for the first time in 40 years, and I'm worried something might happen to me.
Live independently with a medical alert device from Alarm Detection Systems. Setup is easy, and 24/7 emergency assistance monitoring is included. Alarm Detection Systems is an authorized Honeywell equipment dealer. Visit adsalarm.com or call 630-844-6300. Alarm license number 127000143.
6:37, and let's get a check of the roads in our AM 560 Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. Northbound I-65 is heavy. Ridge Road to 8094 where there's a crash. The Edens is 27 minutes now from Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. Kennedy, 30 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 23. The Eisenhower, 42 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 31 minutes. Stevenson now 52 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Bryan, 26 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic is a service of Office Depot Office Max. It takes more than love to run a small business. It also takes paper, lots of paper. For a limited time, buy any Office Depot brand ream of paper or a 10-ream case of paper and get one free. Office Depot Office Max. Gear up for great. In-store only. Ends 121. Limit 2. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Cloudy and mild. Fog throughout the area this morning and a bit of rain in the forecast for the afternoon. High 45. Currently 34. Next news coming up at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We were talking about the confirmation hearing of Dr. Tom Price, Trump's nominee for HHS. Also, before the firing squad yesterday was Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt, who is, of course, Trump's nominee for EPA, one of the real targets of the Democrats because of their adherence to the religion of junk science and environmental extremism. In addition to Betsy DeVos, I'd say those are their top two targets in terms of really trying to make political points, score political points. And so it started with Ed Markey. He's the other socialist senator from Massachusetts, not named Pocahontas, getting right into the whole climate change hoax and Trump's lingo on the topic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This morning, NOAA, NASA has declared 2016 the hottest year in the 137-year-old record that has been kept. Donald Trump has called global warming a hoax caused by the Chinese. Do you agree that global warming is a hoax?
I do not, Senator.
So Donald Trump is wrong?
I do not believe that climate change is a hoax.
Okay, that's important for the president.
And what's also important to note there, per Scott Pruitt's answer, is this false binary that the left puts out, that some people believe in science and some people don't. Some people believe the Earth's temperature has slightly increased and some people don't. Everybody agrees with the data that has been established, right, that there has been some slight warming. Where the disagreement comes is the Chicken Little approach that we should impose draconian taxation and regulation and we should eliminate the fossil fuel industry versus a more measured response to what are knowable potential problems with where we understand the temperature to be moving. That's the discussion. It's not a dismissal of data that has been established.
But don't you think more research is needed to determine how much of global warming is man-made?
Well, here's the thing. That's so interesting you bring that up because Richard Rahn has an excellent piece in the Washington Times where he said, because what's one of the left's talking points on this? The science is settled. The debate is over. Well, if the science is settled and the debate is over, then why are we spending hundreds of millions of dollars investigating this? Why then shouldn't we defund NOAA and NASA or greatly reduce their funding levels so they can just be scriveners and record data as it is established rather than do all of their complicated modeling, much of which has turned out to be well off the mark? But why are we spending all this money if the science is settled and the debate is over? Exactly. We should continue to pursue science, but we should use the scientific method. We shouldn't use political demagoguery, as you saw on display at Pruitt's hearing. Here's the other thing about this, about all these hearings, but this was most pointedly on display in the exchange between Pruitt and Comrade Bernie. What the job of a cabinet secretary is, an agency head, what that job is, and the exchange between Sanders and Pruitt, and you'll get where I'm going.
Senator, as I indicated, you weren't in here during my opening statement, but as I indicated in my opening statement, the climate is changing, and the human activity contributes to that in some manner.
In some manner?
Yes, sir.
97% of the scientists who wrote articles in peer-reviewed journals believe that human activity is the fundamental reason we are seeing climate change. You disagree with that?
I believe the ability to measure with precision the degree of human activity's impact on the climate is subject to more debate on whether the climate is changing or whether human activity contributes to it.
While you are not certain, the vast majority of scientists are telling us that if we do not get our act together and transform our energy system away from fossil fuel, there is a real question as to the quality of the planet that we are going to be leaving our children and our grandchildren. So you are applying for a job as administrator for the EPA to protect our environment. Overwhelming majority of scientists say we have got to act boldly, and you're telling me that there needs to be more debate on this issue and that we should not be acting boldly.
No, Senator, as I've indicated, the climate is changing and human activity.
But you haven't told me why you think the climate is changing.
Well, Senator, the job of the administrator is to carry out the statutes as passed by this body and to
comply with. Why is the climate changing?
Senator, in response to the CO2 issue, the EPA administrator is constrained by statutes.
I'm asking your personal opinion.
My personal opinion is immaterial.
Bingo. He's an administrator, not a legislator. He is enforcing the laws that are passed by Congress, not doing what we've become accustomed to from the fourth branch of government, the bureaucracy, unelected as it is, and promulgating laws, doing the, filling in the legislative proposals with kind of the regulatory framework, but really de facto legislating. And what you're hearing from Pruitt and others is to say, my personal opinion doesn't matter. I'm going to enforce the laws that you pass. That's the responsibility of the legislative branch. That's the responsibility of Congress. I'm an administrator, not a legislator. That is an important distinction that is completely lost on the Democrat senators in all of these confirmation hearings. And I thought that was a nice moment for Scott Pruitt. But we've got some other talking points to debunk, or at least challenge, in addition to the ones we have already. And to help us do that, we're pleased to be joined by Sterling Burnett, who is a energy and environmental research fellow at the Heartland Institute, heartland.org. Sterling, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. Gosh, hearing those Democratic senators blabber on in ignorance or flat out lying, it's just a little, infuriating. Sanders says 97% of the published research says climate change is caused by human beings and we've got to act radically. That's just a lie. 97% of the published research, the data he's citing, this particular research that he's citing, said 97% of the published research indicates humans have some role in climate change. Not a majority role, not that it's terrible, not that we've got to act radically, but some role. Scott Pruitt acknowledges that. So does Donald Trump, by the way. The opening quote by Markey was a one-off Twitter release by Trump that he later said, look, it's a joke. I know climate change is happening. Everyone knows climate change is happening.
Well, and I want to just
knows because climate always changes.
Right, and
always changed.
But the 97%, I want to get to that because this is again a talking point you hear again and again. In addition to the debate is over, the science is settled. 97%, 97%, 97%. Every Democrat, just about, says that, starting with President Obama. And I know the Heartland Institute has debunked that statistic. Explain why that is erroneous. What that's predicated on, that 97%.
Well, some researchers from Australia went out. It's actually been repeated several times by different researchers doing different methodologies. But the one that's most famous is these researchers from Australia went out and supposedly reviewed the entirety or the vast majority of the climate science literature, and they found something like 13,000 articles on climate change. Now, it turns out that not 97% of those 13,000 articles said humans were causing climate change. The vast majority of them didn't talk about any attribution for climate change. And so they were just thrown out. Anything that didn't specifically talk about humans and climate change, they threw out. So a lot of studies that didn't think humans were a part of it got thrown out. So then they've got a minority of these studies, and they looked at them and they said, well, it's mentioned humans and climate change. Do they attribute it? And 97% of those studies attributed at least some role for humans. But like I said, not a majority. Not 50%. Not driving climate change, just some role. And even then, it was up to the researchers, which were, a lot of them were grad students that were just going through these surveys, and they were comparing each other's results, saying, well, what do you think of this one? Even then, they included a lot of studies that were from climate skeptics who don't believe humans have a very important role in climate change. In fact, they were called out by specific researchers who said, hold it, you said my study says this, and it doesn't say this. The guy who ran the study, John Cook, he admitted, we did shoddy research. But the journal that published it did not rescind it, despite the fact he says, we did things that when you're doing surveys, you don't do, like cross-checking between your different people saying this is this confirms our hypothesis, like going back in the middle of it and gathering new data, as opposed to starting with data, going back in the middle of it and gathering new data, new studies and stuff to supplement your findings.
Okay, so Sterling,
they had bad methodology. The guy who ran the research said it was flawed research, but the journalists left it out there, and everyone's picking up on it, and they're not looking at the details of the study.
So Donald Trump, with the help of Pruitt, he wants to, within the first 100 days, cancel job-killing restrictions on the production of American energy, including shale energy and clean coal. Is that going to hurt our environment?
It's going to help. It's going to help our economy and not hurt our environment. That's the thing. These Democrats think that if you're boosting energy production for Americans, if you're making energy cheap for Americans, if you're creating jobs for Americans, somehow it's a zero-sum game and you're hurting the environment. But in fact, market economies do better for the environment. Wealthier people, when you make people wealthier, they spend more on the environment than closed economies.
In addition
We're
to
the worst environmental disasters in the world. They're not in market economies.
Well,
right
in
now,
addition,
China.
they're
choking on it in China.
In addition to that, though, and importantly, I mean, we've had some environmental disasters here, the Exxon Valdez, Deepwater Horizon, but to your point about natural gas specifically, because that fracking question was asked of Pruitt by Bernie Sanders, the incidence of earthquakes in Oklahoma, and is that a concern that directly related to fracking? Well, that's something to be addressed wherever the science leads. I don't know. But we do know that cheap natural gas has resulted in the percentage of people's incomes that Americans spend on energy being cut almost in half in the last 30 years. And that's directly attributable to cheap natural gas because of what's happened in Pennsylvania and North Dakota and Texas. Fracking, where now from 9% to 4% of your household budget. And that's real savings for, middle income and lower income Americans when they're paying a smaller percentage of their budgets for their energy needs.
Well, and also, which I'm sure Sanders didn't bring up, the fracking revolution has reduced carbon dioxide emissions. While our energy use has gone up due to cheap natural gas, our carbon dioxide emissions have gone down because despite natural gas being a fossil fuel, it puts out relatively little CO2, much less than the alternatives. So more natural gas means less CO2. Sanders is somehow unhappy about that. In addition, when you look at the earthquakes, the science is, I won't say the science is settled. I think that's a terrible term for science.
It's never settled.
If you look at science, it's supposed to proceed by question and answer and falsification. But what we do are pretty certain about earthquakes is it's not due to fracking itself. It's due to wastewater disposal near fault lines. You avoid wastewater disposal near fault lines at high pressure, you don't cause earthquakes.
All right. He is Sterling Burnett, the Environmental and Energy Policy Research Fellow at the Heartland Institute. Sterling, thanks for joining us. Always appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Excitement mounting in Washington, D.C. One more day, and American Airlines wants to sell restricted basic economy tickets. Those stories next.
Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. Attention investors, your IRA or your 401k may be at risk again. The 2008 crash wiped out up to 50% of IRAs and 401ks. Can you afford to lose again? What if you could store IRA or 401k savings where you can see, touch, and hold it in your hands? With the Augusta Gold or Silver IRA, you transfer a portion of retirement savings into physical coins you can actually see and get fast in case of any disaster. Call Augusta Precious Metals today for a free gold and silver IRA guide. No obligation. Augusta Precious Metals, A+ Better Business Bureau rating, 98% 5-star customer satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. Trust Augusta. Call Augusta Precious Metals today at 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993. One more time, 1-855-222-6993.
With 1 day to go before Donald Trump is inaugurated as our 45th president, economic reports today include the final pre-inauguration updates on housing starts, jobless claims, and a business outlook from the Philadelphia Federal Reserve. A growing number of the world's largest companies want to be in step with President-elect Trump's demand that employers hire, invest, and keep jobs in America. The list now includes Walmart, General Motors, Amazon. In response, Mr. Trump has signaled his approval on Twitter. American Airlines will soon have its own version of a basic economy fare, a fare that costs less than other coach tickets. The non-refundable lower rates allow buyers to carry only a personal item that fits under their seat, no wheeled carry-on bags. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Hey, want a great way to start 2017? Well, book your trip to somewhere warm and sunny, somewhere like Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. That's where Joe Walsh, Dan Proft.
I thought I made a real connection with a glass.
That's where we're going to be heading this year. We'll be staying at the Secrets Cap Cana Resort and Spa. It's an unlimited luxury resort that just opened in November. Has all the bells and whistles. The rooms are well appointed. 5 gourmet restaurants, 7 bars.
Blankets.
And Splankets. 24-hour room service as well. The resort has sparkling pools and access to pristine beaches. So join us in Punta Cana. Get more information and book your trip by visiting 560theanswer.com, keyword passport. Now, the trip is filling up fast, so don't wait. And the price point that Apple Vacation, our good friends over there at Apple Vacations, has secured for us is incredible and exclusive to us, but it will expire. So don't miss out. Have some fun. Get away. Visit 560theanswer.com, keyword passport.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Chris Veldman of ServiceMaster DSI, the largest ServiceMaster franchise in the United States and a customer of Signature Bank. In our business, we respond to disaster, and we never know when disaster will strike, whether it's flooding in Louisiana or a house fire in Chicago. Not all banks understand that need for flexibility, but Signature Bank does. That's why we consider them so much more than a bank. They have been our business partner since 2006, when their 3 co-founders, Mick, Kevin, and Brian, started the bank. Signature Bank is a key part of our growth strategy at ServiceMaster DSI.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, if you're looking to secure financing on a new home or want to refinance your existing mortgage, then you need to call David Hochberg, Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. Now, if you're looking to purchase a home, David has some great news. FHA just reduced their mortgage insurance by 1/4 point. This means the monthly mortgage insurance on an FHA loan just decreased $42 a month or $500 per year on a $200,000 FHA loan. Now, this is a huge game changer for anybody looking to purchase a home because this helps offset the rate increase the market has experienced since the election. FHA loans are outstanding for home buyers who have a down payment of at least 3.5%, which can be a gift for a family member. So if you're interested in purchasing a home and would like to work with an FHA home loan expert, then call David right now, 312-751-1333, or visit am560david.com. David has helped me and thousands of AM560 listeners, but guess what? He can't help you if you don't call. 312-751-1333, or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee 4358, NMLS 19186.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow deplorables, ready for America to be great again?
The American people have spoken.
Time to celebrate the Trump-Pence inauguration and Obama leaving office.
Don't let the door hit you in the...
It's time to take our country back. Don't miss the Chicagoland inauguration Deplore-a-Ball. Friday, January 20th at Diplomat West Banquets, 681 West North Avenue in Elmhurst. A great time brought to you by the DuPage Deplorables, a grassroots effort for event planning and discussion for Trump supporters. They hope to raise enough funds to support their populist cause by donating a portion of the proceeds to local township Republicans and other local conservative and Tea Party grassroots organizations. Don't you dare miss the Deplorable. Visit their Facebook group page, search for DuPage Deplorables on Facebook, or call 630-359-8200. That's 630-359-8200. The Chicagoland Inauguration Deplorable. Friday, January 20th at Diplomat West Banquets in Elmhurst. Be there.
We are going to make our country great again.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, just one more day until Trump becomes president and the latest on cabinet confirmation hearings. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy, sheriffs are searching Indian Head Park for his suspects after a reported home invasion there. Longtime White Sox outfielder Tim Raines elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And a cloudy and foggy day ahead. WINT Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster. President-elect Trump heads to Washington today to spend the night at the presidential guest house, Blair House. That's a tradition before his inauguration tomorrow. In D.C., Fox's Rachel Sutherland.
Chris, the inaugural platform is built and the chairs are set up on the west lawn of the U.S. Capitol. But a full third of the Democratic caucus will not attend the swearing-in ceremony. Former Presidents Jimmy Carter, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton will be there, as well as Hillary Clinton. New York Democrat Adriano Espaillat is not calling it a boycott.
It's patriotic, and so I'm exercising my right to dissent.
Meanwhile, 2 confirmation hearings will be held today for Rick Perry to lead the Energy Department and Stephen Mnuchin for Treasury Secretary. Chris?
And the final Trump cabinet pick, Rachel, for Agriculture Secretary, former Georgia Governor Sonny Perdue. Former President George H.W. Bush will not be at the inauguration, still hospitalized in Houston after a procedure to get him breathing better. And the former First Lady Barbara Bush, his wife, checked into the same hospital yesterday, having not felt well for a couple of weeks, according to a family spokesman. There are reports of people texting for help buried in an avalanche at a hotel in central Italy with at least 30 missing.
We heard reports that 2 had been found alive, but they were in fact not inside the 4-star Hotel Rigopiano. One was dug out of his car. Now the 39-year-old is desperate as his wife and 2 young children were in the hotel. Another survivor had managed to escape right before the 4-story structure came crashing down, hit by the avalanche caused by the earlier earthquakes in the area. Unfortunately, plans to evacuate were delayed. All the guests were ready to leave when tragedy struck. In Rome, Courtney Walsh, Fox News.
In Tehran, Iran. Rescue crews are looking for people in the rubble of a high-rise building that caught fire and collapsed. Iran state media reports at least 30 firefighters are dead with 75 people hurt. This is the Plasko building in the center of the city. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
In Chicago, fog and clouds, 33 degrees. It's 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man and a sheriff's department dog were wounded in an exchange of gunfire involving a sheriff's officer following an Indiana traffic stop. Lake County officer in Gary Wednesday stopped a vehicle and the driver and passenger fled on foot. The officer and canine partner pursued that passenger, who then ran down an alley and fired. Police say the passenger and dog were wounded. Another sheriff's officer disarmed the suspect. That suspect is hospitalized with a gunshot wound. The dog was taken in serious condition to the veterinary hospital at Purdue University. Police are warning residents in the near southwest suburbs to stay inside their homes as they search for a suspect in a violent home invasion. Authorities in Indian Head Park are on the scene at a home on Briarwood Court. No confirmation on the extent of the victim's injuries in that home invasion. A veteran Chicago police officer facing first-degree murder charges for the off-duty killing of an unarmed man. AM 560's David Stewart with the latest.
Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox is charging 28-year veteran Lowell Hauser with shooting Jose Nieves January 2nd on a north side street after an argument. Police say Nieves was unarmed. The 2 men had a history of disputes, and police say they argued that day before Nieves was shot. Nieves' family says he had complained to authorities about Hauser in the past, one of at least 20 disciplinary investigations of Hauser since the early 1990s. Most of those incidents resulted in no discipline or mere reprimands, but there were several that led to suspensions. Hauser is expected in court Thursday for a bond hearing. David Stewart, NBC News Radio, Chicago.
Chicago has lost another round in its effort to restrict the operation of gun ranges in the city. A court of appeals held as unconstitutional ordinances restricting ranges only to manufacturing areas in the city. Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan's office is suing the nation's largest student loan company, alleging unfair and deceptive practices with their lending and debt collection. The suit filed in Cook County seeks restitution and penalties and names Navient Corporation and several company subsidiaries. Chicago sports. Valley College basketball. Drake beat Southern Illinois in overtime. Northern Iowa topped Loyola in double overtime. An 8th straight win for Illinois State. They topped Bradley 69-49. Baseball Hall of Fame will induct Tim Raines, the outfielder. Spent 5 seasons with the White Sox on the South Side, but will go in as a Montreal Expo. The news, a service of LifeLock. Grabbing coffee or breakfast. If you swipe your card, you leave a trail of digital information thieves can use to steal your identity. Ever hear of LifeLock? Their U.S.-based team of specialists help resolve identity theft problems. Go to LifeLock.com now. Promo code RISK to save 10%. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
From the Pilgrims at Plymouth Rock to the American Revolution to the Union's victory in the American Civil War, the divine hand of providence has guided America's rise to greatness. Join Michael Medved as he tells the story of the American miracle. Presented by Active Alarm Company. Thursday, February 2nd at Belvedere Banquets in Elk Grove Village. Tickets for this special luncheon begin at just $32. Get yours today at 560theanswer.com/miracle. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group.
Pay fast with the Master Pass. Don't buy it, Master Pass it. Pay fast with the Master Pass. Simple and easy. Pay fast with the Master Pass. Don't buy it, Master Pass it. Pay fast with the Master Pass. Secure and so easy.
MasterPass, the simple, secure way to pay from MasterCard. Accepted at select merchants.
Don't buy it, Master Pass it.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that you're probably driving right now. Sitting comfortably behind the wheel with a tasty caffeinated beverage in your cup holder. Well, if you were driving with Uber, you could be earning money right now too. That's because Uber is the ultimate side hustle. Extra cash whenever you want. Earning you can turn on and off, just like your car. This isn't just another job, it's a totally flexible way to earn. So go ahead, get your side hustle on. Visit uber.com/drive now. That's uber.com/drive now.
7:06 and a check of our roads in the AM 560 Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. Eden's inbound delays start past 2 27 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 23. At Kennedy, 42 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 21 from Montrose, 17 on the Express. Outbound 13 minutes to Montrose, 29 to the airport. The Eisenhower. 53 minutes Thorndale to the post office, 40 from Manheim, outbound 34 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, 46 minutes from the Tri-State, outbound just a 1 minute delay, LaGrange Road to 294. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, slow 95th to 87 from the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis, and from the Reagan to North Avenue. Northbound I-65, stop and go 49th Avenue to 8094. There's a rollover semi in the right lane on the ramp to westbound 8094. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Let's get the latest on our forecast with Holly Holdren.
Mostly cloudy today with a little rain late in the afternoon, high 45. Rain tonight, low 38. Cloudy and mild on Friday with a high of 46. Then look for a passing shower Friday night, low 43. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560, The Answer.
33 at O'Hare, 35 along the lakefront. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan, or 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Radio Garden Sense, a show bringing your property's gardening needs alive. Radio Garden Sense, Sunday mornings at 11 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So Bernie Sanders has been quite pronounced during some of the confirmation hearings. We found out yesterday during his exchange with Dr. Tom Price that America is not a compassionate nation, not compared to, say, I don't know, Canada or Luxembourg. And the day before, we found out in the hearing for Betsy DeVos, Trump's nominee for Education Secretary, that she's too rich to be Education Secretary.
My question is, and I don't mean to be rude.
No, of course not.
But do you think if you were not a multi-billionaire, if your family has not made hundreds of millions of dollars of contributions to the Republican Party, that you would be sitting here today?
Senator, as a matter of fact, I do think that I've worked very hard on behalf of parents and children for the last almost 30 years to be a voice for parents and to voice for students and to empower parents to make decisions on behalf of their children, primarily low-income children.
Thank you.
Now, she displayed such poise and grace when answering that question. Because I'm sick of the Republicans who are successful being vilified. Yes, there's some family money involved, but she does care about children. And I'm sorry she doesn't have an education degree, as my lefty friends always say, but she is knowledgeable enough to try and further school choice. Or at least or charter schools are trying to have that be an option on the table.
So you think that working in a particular field of endeavor for 30 years means something? It doesn't mean something if you have a particular net worth. Above a certain threshold of income, the rest of what you do with your life doesn't matter. That's the Bernie Sanders opinion, clearly. Here's the question I would have had for Sanders back, but I know you have to exercise restraint in these hearings. That's why I'll never be a cabinet secretary. Mr. Sanders, Senator Sanders, excuse me, because I know you've earned it, Barbara Boxer. Senator Sanders, do you think you'd be here if you didn't come from a daffy state that thinks we can run the economy on Vermont maple syrup? Do you think you'd be in the Senate? For more on the DeVos hearing and what that would portend for K-12 education in the country, we're pleased to be joined by Robert Enlow. He is the president and CEO of the Milton and Rose Friedman Foundation for School Choice. Robert, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Robert, do we have?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yep, there we go. Okay. So
thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us. And your reaction to Betsy DeVos's treatment before the Senate's Star Chamber the other day.
So these hearings can be tough. I thought she handled herself, like Amy said, with incredible poise and grace. I have great faith in Betsy and know she'll do a good job. She's a strong leader in our movement. And I know I can't wait to see what she's going to get done. You know, these things can be pressure cookers, but I thought she did well. And by the Sanders definition, according to Open Secrets, more than half the Senate are now millionaires, right? So I guess according to Sanders' definition, there shouldn't be any Senate either.
Well, and I know that Penny Pritzker would have been disqualified to be Obama's Commerce Secretary, but my sense is there are different standards depending on your philosophical worldview. Can you give us a little bit of background, because the cheap criticisms of Betsy DeVos from people who don't know of her work, don't share her view on education reform. Give us some perspective on the last 30 years that she referenced but wasn't allowed to explain at that hearing.
You know, so at Ed Choice, it's been an honor to work alongside Betsy for the last, I've been back here since 22 years, 1996. She has been tirelessly working to improve the lot of education for low-income families in particular, and middle-income families as well, to get them a chance to have better schooling options, to hold those schools accountable, and to try and make sure that families are able to choose what's right for their children. She's been doing that not only in her personal time, but using her personal treasure. So time, talent, and treasure, she's been using all of those the last 20 years that I've known her to make sure that families who have less have the opportunity to have more. But I think there's very few people who have spent the kind of time, and I certainly know talent and treasure that she has, to try and improve the lot of families who need the most help.
Well, a concern from the left is that she wants to try and break up the teachers' union and that she wants everything to be a charter school. Is there any truth to that?
So I think we want every school to be a good school, regardless whether it's public, private, or charter, and I think that's the way she feels. I think she, like all of us, would say, we don't want anything to get in the way of whether that school could be a good school or a bad, right? I mean, a good school. If it's a bad school, then there's some things that are causing it to be a bad school, and we need to get those obstacles out of the way. So I think she would say, We don't care about the school type. We want all schools to be good for kids, and if something's getting in the way of that, we need to get rid of it.
With respect to charter schools and school choice programs, this is not a laboratory experiment. We're less familiar with it here in Chicago because of the blockades that have been erected towards really expanding choice beyond a handful of charter schools relative to the overall number of schools. I wonder, from your broader perspective, as somebody who's been in this movement, this reform effort for so many years, as you just described, what is the real experience and what are the real results in places like Milwaukee and Cleveland and Florida that have embarked upon, in Indiana, of course, that have been embarked on more aggressive kind of competition breeds competence choice programs in education?
So the real results in all those states that live outside the bubble, outside of D.C., have been really positive for families, not only in the charter sector primarily, but also in the school choice sector. Based on the data we know about the private school choice movement, 25 out of 28 studies show that children improve academically if they get a scholarship. We know almost all of the studies show that public schools respond positively. And all of the studies show that schools don't lose a dime. So we've got a situation here where we know something works in over 60. So there are now 60 programs working in 31 states, right? In D.C., there is actually a program in D.C. where kids are graduating at higher rates than their peers who are using scholarships, right under the noses of the Senate, right? You see this program, and Betsy DeVos has been a huge part of that program. So we know it's working, and we know even in the criticism they make of Detroit, actually, that's not really true at all. We're watching the Detroit charter schools outperform the public schools. And sure, could they be better? Well, every school can be better. But the kids that are in the charter schools are doing markedly better than the kids that are in the traditional schools. And really what matters is that all schools improve.
So when it comes to power and control, she doesn't want the federal government to be in control. She wants to give that to the states and local authorities and school councils?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question, right? So the federal government spends about, of our total amount of money on K-12 education in America, about 11% of the money comes from the federal government, right? There are certain policies like the IDEA legislation that states are required to follow, and that's important. We want kids to have a fair and appropriate education. But states are required to implement those programs. And not all states do so well. But you do want to make sure that the states have the ability to implement these federal laws with fidelity and allow some flexibility. In many states, for example, children get to go to private schools if the public schools doesn't serve them for their free and appropriate education. The key thing here is to remember that the schools are at the local level, and we need to give them the most flexibility and control that we can, recognizing that there are some certain elements about special needs and civil rights that we need to be cognizant of. And I think that's what she was saying, if she would have been given enough time.
Trump, in the debates and on the stump, talked about school choice. He mentioned it specifically with respect to minority families in urban centers, that I'm going to get you access to better schools. You should be able to send your kids to good schools the same way Barack Obama or Rahm Emanuel or any other politician is able to send their kids to the schools of their choice. That combination with Mike Pence hailing from Indiana, that has the most expansive school choice program in the country, getting to middle-income households there, combined with Betsy DeVos, do you see the prospect for a real watershed moment in the school choice movement with this administration?
So I think this administration has signaled, rightly so, and certainly in education, that it's no longer business as usual. So I'm excited about a lot of things they can do. They certainly can deal with the regulatory burden on schools and try and ease that, make it easier for teachers to teach, and make it easier for parents to choose. So I think those are all very good things, and I'm excited about that. I think on the federal level, we've got to make sure that whatever policy they come out with for school choice doesn't create unnecessary burdens on schools that want to participate. You got a lot of schools out there who are private schools that want to participate, but don't want to participate if it requires them to fill out 50 pages of paperwork, or if it requires them to take time. So one of my friends in Arizona who used to be superintendent, she used to say, I get 9%, this is back in the day, I get 9% of my money from the feds and 50% of my staff time is compliance for feds.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to have that problem. So I think the challenge of going forward at the federal level with advancing school choice will be to do it in a way that doesn't burden the schools that want to participate. But on the whole, this is not going to be business as usual anymore. It's going to be a different type of Department of Education, and that's exciting to see.
I wanted to get your take on Common Core. I know it's up to the states, and it seems to be on the decline. Was it effective at all?
I think Common Core basically was not effective, and in particular, it was going to die of its own weight anyway, right? So this is exactly what I've been talking about, having local control and local flexibility. What works in a place like, as you heard, Alaska, doesn't necessarily work in a place like Detroit. You need to have some flexibility. Now, that said, children we do need to understand where they are on tests, right? We do, whether those tests are standardized tests put by the state or whether they're the ACT or the SAT. It's an important measurement. But remember, that's just a measurement to help understand where kids are. It's not something that is the end-all, be-all. When we talk about quality schools nowadays, almost all the time, all we're talking about is a test score. Because we have no other indication about how schools are doing besides, hey, here's a test score, you're either doing well or you're not. And then we bash schools, regardless of whether they're public, private, or charter, and say, well, look, you're no good because you didn't do well on this test. That's really not the way we should be looking at education, and Common Core was just going to exacerbate that problem. It was going to make it all about a simple test score and how you're doing on that test score. And I think that would have been a real problem for this country and really not about what a child needs to have a whole, well-rounded education.
Milton Friedman was the intellectual founder of the modern school choice movement. Robert Enlow is the president and CEO of the Friedman Foundation for School Choice. Robert, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, the real reason the big man's not in the big house. Well, the White House. But first, here's your forecast today. We're going to have foggy conditions this morning, then a light rain by this afternoon, a high of 45 degrees. Tonight, the light rain continues, a low of 38. And for Friday, Inauguration Day, here in Chicago, we're going to have morning fog. Otherwise, it'll be cloudy and mild, a high of 46. Let's get it to the roadways. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Southbound 53 is heavy. Palatine Road to Northwest Highway with a crash on the left shoulder. Northbound I-65, stop and go 49th Avenue to 8094. Rollover semi on the ramp to westbound 8094. It's blocking the right lane. Southwest side, northbound Pulaski is jammed approaching to Stevenson because of traffic signal problems. Edens, 26 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 24. The Kennedy, 47 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 30. The Ike, now 54 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 38. Stevenson, 58 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 30 minutes. 95th to downtown. Veterans Memorial, slope out into the Reagan Tollway and Roosevelt to St. Charles. That's traffic on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, have you ever mistakenly deleted a file and gone into panic mode? Are you still trying to figure out that cloud migration? Any clue what a hybrid integration is? Well, if you want to save time and money, then let the professionals at Turnkey IT customize a solution that's sized just right for your company. For 20 years now, locally owned and operated, Turnkey IT has become the brand businesses trust for their IT needs. Why? Because Turnkey IT understands small businesses just like yours. They have monthly plans available for your team of 100 or a plan customized for your individual system. Turnkey IT has a solution. They even have equipment included if you want to go all in. And their great team of professionals help users every day with network monitoring to help desk to on-site support 24/7, 365 days a year. So stop worrying about your technology and let it work for you. Visit turnkey.pro today to see how simple and affordable it can be to focus on your business without worrying about the technical stuff. That's turnkey.pro, turnkey.pro.
So our team just started using GoToMeeting to web conference, and it's been surprising. Well, guys, our company is growing fast. I'm thinking we should
expand overseas.
2 weeks later, it happened again.
Now it looks like our distributors in France can't keep up with demand. The team should look at moving into Asia.
But now our team connects a little too well.
It's great we're opening a new location in Osaka. Konnichiwa, Japan.
When you connect better, everything comes together. GoToMeeting. Try it free at gotomeeting.com.
Pay fast with the MasterPass. Don't buy it. MasterPass it. Pay fast with the MasterPass. Simple and easy. Pay fast with the MasterPass. Don't buy it, MasterPass it. Pay fast with the MasterPass. Secure and so easy.
MasterPass, the simple, secure way to pay from MasterCard. Accepted at select merchants.
Don't buy it, MasterPass it.
It's a great American story. The company started with just 2 cars, operating out of a spare room in a house in the western suburbs. With hard work and making every customer important, 47 years later, A1 Airport Limousine is one of the largest transportation companies in America. Wouldn't you or your company like to do business with a company that shares your American values? Try A1 right now and say, "Give me 10." Get 10% off your first trip. Individuals, groups, airport runs, companies, any transportation need, small or large, A1 is the A1 choice. They're reliable, professional, and on time. Call now and say, "Give me 10." 10% off your first ride. 630-833-3788. 630-833-3788. Or book online and ask for the 10% discount at a1limousine.com. Give your business to a business that shares your values. A1 is the A1 transportation choice.
Hi, I'm Andrea Kashaba, owner of Tulane & Associates, an accounting and tax service in Elk Grove Village. If you're a small business, feeling snubbed or overcharged by your current accounting firm, I invite you to give us a try. You shouldn't have to feel overlooked by your current tax accountant because you're a small business. Small businesses and individuals are my specialty. I will always treat you and your business with respect, and we'll take care of as much or as little as you'd like us to do. From payroll to sales taxes, financial statements to business and personal taxes, projections, or bookkeeping services. Call Tulane & Associates at 847-952-1510 or visit TulaneandAssociates.com. That's THULIN, Tulane & Associates. Get a no-cost 1-hour initial consultation that could change the way you do business. Call 847-952-1510. That's 847-952-1510.
Mike Rowe here. Today I'm with Frank, one of the heating and cooling pros at 1 Hour. Frank's got his head up a vent right now. How's it going up there? Frank knows what he's talking about. He's been with 1 Hour for how long, Frank?
14 years.
That's a long time. Over that time, he's worked on tons of different equipment, taken countless hours of training, and that makes Frank the man.
No, Mark Rose.
I'm sorry, Frank. Say again?
Mike Rose the man.
I heard him the first time. For any heating need, call 855-1 Hour today. Say it again, Frank.
Mike Rose the man.
That's what I'm talking about. Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Dennis Miller live.
What is this urge for the country to be uniformly fit? You know, the last time I remember that happening was Germany in the mid to late 30s, and that didn't really work out too well, did it?
March 23rd, 8 p.m., the Genesee Theater. Tickets are on sale now at all Ticketmaster outlets and at the Genesee Theater box office. For more information, visit GeneseeTheater.com. Dennis Miller live.
Come on.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy. So, Amy, tell us why Governor Christie is not able to attend the inaugural celebration. I'm going to guess that the heavy lift helicopter that transports him is unavailable.
Stop it. That's
Is
not
that right?
fair. Well, I don't know if he's going to the inauguration, but why he's not going to Washington, D.C. with a White House job. Are you ready for this?
Because he's going to be indicted?
Well, that's a possibility, too. But apparently he told a Boomer and Carton sports radio program yesterday in New Jersey that his wife, Mary Pat Christie, wouldn't move to Washington, D.C. with him. She wouldn't follow him. So he said, you know, the job that I was offered wasn't exciting enough for me to leave the governorship and my family because Mary Pat made it really clear that she was not coming to Washington, D.C., and I don't want to live without her.
Well, I hope Mary Pat can, live with the notion that she deprived the nation of presidential fitness czar Chris Christie.
Well, potential cabinet positions, Homeland Security, Veterans Affairs, but White House aide position, all of which Christie said that he turned down. But I don't know who to believe here. But he is going to be looked at as a potential replacement, and if any of Trump's original cabinet picks quit or get fired.
And
so
he's
on the bench just in case.
Yeah, and if he stays on this side of the bars, which I think is still up for some resolutions. So, yeah, I think that's a convenient story that Chris Christie has concocted, very much akin to the want to spend more time with my family excuse that we become so accustomed to when somebody's embroiled in scandal. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your business requires protection. Break-ins, vandalism, and fires happen, so it's important to prevent losses. That's why for over half a century, Chicagoland companies have trusted Active Alarm Company. From planning and installation to maintenance and monitoring, Active Alarm are the protection pros. Active Alarm Company is a UL-listed alarm service company and a platinum-level Honeywell-authorized security dealer, one of 22 nationally and only 2 in Illinois. And you'll always speak live with a team member. Active Alarm offers the newest equipment, including security, fire, access control, video systems, and the most responsive technical support. So if you need your first alarm system, an updated system, or monitoring, call Active Alarm Company for your free security analysis and quote at 847-438-2600 or visit activealarm.com. The protection pros at Active Alarm Company are A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and a Honeywell authorized security dealer. That's 847-438-2600 or online at activealarm.com. License number 127000541.
Hey, if you aren't getting a great night's sleep, I suggest you order a MyPillow today and start the year off right. MyPillow is a patented interlocking fill that adjusts your individual sleep needs. It's washable, dryable, manufactured in America, and guaranteed not to go flat for 10 years. Now, the new year is here, so I suggest you resolve to sleep better and feel better. The best offer is still available. When you buy one MyPillow, you receive another MyPillow absolutely free, plus 2 free Go Anywhere pillows. You're guaranteed to be satisfied. So visit MyPillow.com, click the radio listener special tab, and use the promo code Amy. Again, 2 premium MyPillows, 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, all for the price of one. That's MyPillow.com, promo code Amy, or just call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, President Obama meets face-to-face with the media for the very last time, what we learned. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Fog and 35 degrees. Rescue efforts continue at a resort hotel in the central Italian mountains where an avalanche has buried as many as 30. Earthquakes Wednesday triggered that avalanche, apparently, as workers skied through blizzard-like conditions to reach that hotel, hindered by 16 feet of snow. Military officials are reporting the U.S. bombed ISIS camps in southern Libya overnight. CNN first to report the plan approved by President Obama just about 24 hours ago was a plan to send B-2 bombers into Libya to bomb a group of fighters who had fled a coastal city into a remote area of the desert. The start of inauguration festivities also brings a wave of demonstrations to the nation's capital. The Peace Bowl is tonight. Demonstrations will continue Saturday through the Women's March on Washington. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson says security for tomorrow's presidential inauguration, heard here on AM 560, will be enormous.
There will be approximately 10,000 DHS personnel, Secret Service, TSA, Coast Guard, and a number of other components.
Johnson says there will be about 28,000 directly or indirectly supporting security for the event. This morning, Paul McCartney says he's suing Sony to get back the rights to songs he created as a member of the Beatles. The suit, filed in New York under the U.S. Copyright Act of 1976, that law allows songwriters to reclaim the rights to their work 56 years after the date of their original copyright. Authorities say a man and a sheriff's department dog were wounded in an exchange of gunfire yesterday involving a sheriff's officer and a Gary, Indiana traffic stop. 4 Chicago police officers who were at the scene of the 2014 fatal shooting of Laquan McDonald have been suspended for failing to ensure their dashboard cameras in their squad cars were operating properly. Chicago has lost another round in its effort to restrict the operation of gun ranges in the city. The U.S. Court of Appeals has held as unconstitutional an ordinance restricting ranges simply to manufacturing areas in the city. Chicago sports. In the Valley, college basketball, Drake over Southern Illinois. Northern Iowa, a double overtime win over Loyola. And Illinois State was a winner over Bradley, 69-49. The news, a service of Hum by Verizon. Hum by Verizon is all the smart technology you need to upgrade to a safer, more connected car. Plug it in for amazing features like emergency assistance, vehicle diagnostics, vehicle location, and more. Upgrade your car with Hum today at hum.com. Hum, put some smarts in your car. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
For me, it never has been about Trump.
The Joe Walsh Show.
For me, it's about the ideas, it's about the issues, it's about the movement. Go ahead and cut whatever deal you want, but when it comes to people in this country illegally, you ran your campaign, sir, on that issue. You can't walk that back.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
A new year means a new Glock at the absolute lowest dealer prices. In January, Shrink Smoke & Gun is offering dozens of Glock models at great savings, like the Glock 43 9mm single stack pistol for only $449, and the Glock 26 Generation 4 9mm double stack for only $539. And Shrinks is proud to announce there is now a Glock Blue Label dealer offering reduced Glock prices to law enforcement, military, EMTs, and firefighters. Remember, with the largest selection of new, used, and consignment firearms in Lake County, you'll avoid the Cook County firearm and ammo tax. For gunsmithing, you can count on family-owned Shrinks. Cigar lovers, be sure to check out Shrink's extensive cigar selection. So visit smoketheletterN.gun.org or call 847-662-4034. Shrink Smoke & Gun in Waukegan, your family-owned gun store since 1964.
7:35. Let's get a check of the roads at our AM 560 Traffic Center with Jim Telemonti.
Thanks, Micah. Northbound I-65 traffic is stop and go 61st Avenue to 8094. The exit to the westbound 8094 on that ramp, there's a crash blocking the right lane. Edens is 22 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 25. The Kennedy, 49 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 29. The Eisenhower, an hour. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 40 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 35 minutes. Ryan, 32 minutes. 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State stop and go Archer to 47th. And from the Reagans all the way to Grand Avenue. Traffic is a service of ADT, the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, and all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard. It's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Cloudy, mild, some really severe fog in spots this morning. We'll clear that out and have a little rain this afternoon. High near 45. 33 at O'Hare. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Advanced Planning Advisors, bringing you Smart Money Talk with Mike Moylan and Rob Curvin, Saturday mornings at 6.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. And Amy, you've got some sad breaking news.
Yeah, remember Harambe? He was the gorilla who was shot at the Cincinnati Zoo after a little boy fell into the gorilla pit. And
I remember.
I thought he was trying to protect it. And
right.
You said, no, you got to shoot the gorilla. And Harambe now is a hashtag. He's really an icon across not only the country, but the world. But Dan.
Well, there's no question. And by the way, just on that score, I'm looking forward to the summer blockbuster where Tom Hanks plays Harambe in the Harambe movie.
Well, sad news this morning. Harambe's grandmother, Josefina, has passed away at the Miami Zoo. They
Who
said
shot her?
No, nobody shot her. They said this morning when Josefina could hardly move, even to reach for her favorite treat, the staff knew the right thing to do. They made the very difficult decision to humanely euthanize her. And so people are reacting, all over the world to this. One person tweeted, are you ready? Harambe's grandmother, Josefina, passed away. I don't know how gorilla heaven works, but I hope that they are together now.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's going to be an outpouring of support, a growing memorial, some Mylar balloons, flowers, maybe even a cross outside the zoo in Miami.
That's how Josephina would like to be remembered, is with Mylar balloons. Just
It'll
like the rest
happen.
of us. With respect to Josephina now.
It's a Josephina.
She was Italian, a guy, or she was a cartoonish Italian character like you are portraying. So are we going to do the junk out for Josephina the way that we did junk out for Arambe? Is that going to be a thing? I'm just asking. I want to keep up with, cultural phenomena.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
You want to be hip and cool like the cool kids, yeah.
Is Arambe still scheduled to have his head chiseled into Mount Rushmore?
Stop.
I just want to get status on some of these projects to memorialize the gorilla that almost killed a little kid. Okay. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'll let you know if there's any updates.
Our
Any more
Animal Kingdom correspondent, Amy
Harambe's
Jacobson.
relatives pass away.
Yeah, sure. I would like to keep track of his extended family.
Well, his pops is still alive at a zoo in Texas, in case you care.
No, that's great. I'm glad you Ancestry.com'd the Harambe family so that we can keep track of them all. Tarzan and Jane here. So let's transition to something I'm not going to say it's more serious, because who am I to make those judgment calls? But we do have a transition of power coming in just 24 hours. It'll be here. It's coming, and Fleetwood Mac not performing, but I do find it delightfully useful to use Fleetwood Mac to welcome in the Trump administration and to dispatch with the Obama administration. President Obama held his final press conference yesterday, parting such sweet sorrow between him and the D.C. press corps. But he had an admonition for them, not with respect to him, but with respect to the incoming presidential administration.
I have enjoyed working with all of you. That does not, of course, mean that I've enjoyed every story that you have filed, but that's the point of this relationship. You're not supposed to be sycophants. You're supposed to be skeptics. You're supposed to ask me tough questions.
I don't know what a sycophant is. I know what a sycophant is.
Common spelling, yes.
But I mean, I've learned a lot the past 8 years, because I didn't know what a corpse was. I thought corpse was, a body, not the Marine Corps.
Right.
So I didn't know what the Marine Corps was, but then I knew after President Obama explained it, because, of course, he is beyond reproach and question.
There were some tears yesterday. I mean, I watched the entire press conference, took a little napsy and noopsy in between, sorry. And the reporters were genuinely sad to see him go. It's like, don't go. We love you. One more question, please.
So you had the malapropism, which and the admonition from the president to not be in the tank for the political class, and the response to that from the D.C. press corps was sycophancy.
Under your watch, people have said that you have expanded the rubber band of inclusion, and with the election and the incoming administration, people are saying that rubber band has recoiled and maybe is even broken. And I'm taking back to a time on Air Force One going to Selma, Alabama, when you said your job was to close the gaps that remain. And with that, what gaps still remain when it comes to rights issues on the table? And also, what part will you play in fixing those gaps in your new life?
Yeah, boy, I mean, that is hard-hitting stuff. You were so great at expanding, pulling back the rubber band of inclusion. It's a kind of a difficult metaphor. And now it's snap back because of Trump. How are you going to continue to be great for us post-presidency? Those are the kind of probing questions President Obama and his Dickensian name spokesbeing Josh Earnest had to routinely field from the D.C. press corps.
Well, I think
that's tough stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he put people on notice that he's not going to be quiet, even after leaving office, that he's still going to be here, and he's not going to go away quietly, and he's going to be right near the White House and to push his agenda still.
even though there's a new administration coming in and it's against, I think, protocol for a former president to get involved in current day issues, because I don't want to tit for tat during the next 4 years with Trump and
it's okay.
Obama.
Please
I know
do
you
so.
want that, but I don't want that.
Well, I mean, it will not serve Obama's interests or the interests of Obama policies. You may have President Obama leaving with personal popularity, but the underlying policy choices, his signature policy choices, none of them are popular. So I like him personally. I dislike the major things on the policy front that he did. So to the extent those major things are reversed, that a different path is forged, is to the extent that, as Newt Gingrich said, Obama's legacy crumbles to the size of a golf ball. And, that's an appropriate metaphor, the rubber band of inclusion. I'm still a little confused by. So that was Obama on the press. And it's interesting because concurrent with that, you had Jeff Zucker, head of CNN, say that Trump is trying to delegitimize the press. And what you actually hear is the press delegitimizing itself. That's what's been happening, and that's been happening this week. Jack Schaefer's piece in Politico saying we can dispense with any pretense, essentially this is what he said, dispense with any pretense of objectivity, which I welcome, and be completely behind enemy lines with respect to this incoming administration. Great. Let's draw bright lines. Let's understand everybody's viewpoint and what they're attempting to do, what their real motivations are, what the premises are from where they start, so that we don't have to do this pantomime where we pretend the D.C. press corps is going to handle any Republican, any conservative proposal with anything resembling even-handedness. I mean, I find this new era of candor refreshing.
Well, what do you think about Donald Trump? I mean, he said he won't evict press from the White House briefing room, but he'll pick who comes in. And that was brought up during his interview with Fox and Friends, Ainsley Earhardt, to talk about, what is really behind this headline?
We were going to move it because, for whatever reason, you'll have to explain this to me and everybody, but we get a lot of people showing up for press conferences, etc., including briefings. And the room is too small. So we said we're going to move it to a larger room in a nearby area, but, not the same area. And the press went crazy. So I said, let's not move it. But some people in the press will not be able to get in because there's just too many. We'll make sure you get a seat. But there's too many people for this small room.
Especially nowadays with bloggers and with radio.
We have so many people that want to go in. And so we'll have to just pick the people that go into the room. I'm sure other people will be thrilled about that. But we offered a much larger room because we need a much larger room. And we offered to do that.
As long as Ainsley's there, I'm fine. I'm not concerned.
You're okay.
That's the
but
main
I mean,
thing.
that he was trying to cater to their needs. Like, there's so many of you. I need a bigger room. We're going to have to move the press room. And people freaked out, because everything are already hardwired systems. And then they turned it into, him deciding who's going to attend his press conference and who's not. Like government-controlled media.
Oh, right, government-controlled media. Yeah, it's interesting. I was on a panel discussion. I'm in L.A., as I mentioned earlier.
Get the Four Seasons. Tea and crumpets at high noon.
Obviously. Where am I going to stay besides a five-star hotel? You know how I roll. That's it. So, and plus, I mean, I need a whole floor of rooms for my phalanx of sycophants.
Oh,
or
that's
is it
right.
Sycophants?
Sycophants.
Yeah, that word is going to have to be revised in Merriam-Webster's. So here's the thing. Katie Pavlich, it was this panel discussion with Katie Pavlich from Town Hall, Hugh Hewitt, and His Eminence Hugh Hewitt moderated. Also the sage of South Central, our friend Larry Elder, on this panel talking about Trump, the predictions, the opportunities, the concerns. And Katie Pavlich made the salient point that all of this hand-wringing by the press and Jeff Zucker delegitimizing the press and the howling about moving the press room or not moving the press room and who gets credentialed and how Jim Acosta was treated. This from a press corps who witnessed unprecedented legal action against members of the Fourth Estate by the outgoing administration. I mean, James Rosen was essentially named as an unindicted co-conspirator by the Justice Department with respect to leaking of quote-unquote leaking of information, which we know from the Chelsea Manning parting that the president's not actually all that terribly concerned about, at least if you're gender fluid. So the Fourth Estate also very selective with their concerns about a free and robust press. If the Department of Justice goes after a journalist, particularly one that works for Fox News, not a big deal. If Donald Trump has a tense exchange with Jim Acosta, then we're living in a totalitarian state where the press is going to be nationalized. That's why, Jeff Zucker, the press has lost its legitimacy. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Another gray, foggy morning here in Chicago, but we're going to have rain by the afternoon if you like that. A high of 45 degrees. Tonight, some rain, and then tomorrow, morning fog, as predicted. And then cloudy and mild by the afternoon, a high again in the mid to upper 40s. Anything high on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Well, your travel time on the inbound Kennedy is getting higher, Amy. Delay started Austin. It's 55 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 39 from Montrose, 38 in the Express. Outbound 34 minutes to the airport. Eden's just 20 minutes. Lake Hook to the Junction. Outbound it's 29. Guys at Howard now an hour and 8 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound it's 41 minutes. With Stevenson an hour and 8 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 35 minutes. Ryan 34 minutes 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, bottled up Hollywood to North Avenue. Anslow 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State, stop and go Archer to the Hinsdale Oasis. From the Reagans all the way to Grand Avenue. Veterans Memorial, slow Boughton most of the way to St. Charles. And Army Trail to 290. Northbound I-65 has delays 61st Avenue to 8094. The crash on the ramp. I'm Jim Talamonte of the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth. I had a failed root canal, and it was causing me pain. Dr. Neruzzi took care of my tooth, and I got my implant, and then I had another after that fail, and he did that one as well. And the experience was, they were amazing. It was not painful at all like I thought it was going to be, and I was very, very, very nervous about the whole thing. Nobody enjoys getting, implants or dental work, and I procrastinated, but I had to have it done. And he took me in immediately and took care of it. And he made it really affordable. They're very accommodating to people that cannot afford to have it done. I would recommend Dr. Neruzzi to anybody, and I have given him referrals. My own sister had hers done by him.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants. Go to implantsforme.com.
For missing teeth, dental implants are wonderful. The advantages are fantastic. Just remember, implantsforme.com. Implantsforme.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about Balance of Nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I know, I've seen it in my lab, and I know that it works. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection. And that, to me, as a scientist, rings so true.
I'm a big supporter of the product. 2 winters ago, I had, between November and March, I had 5 head colds, and each time it was like a 2-week ordeal. Last winter, with your product, I didn't have a single one.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy. So, Amy.
Yes.
This is relevant to you as you contemplate retiring to where I'm located.
How?
That would be sunny California.
Well, you're in Westlake Village. That
Yes,
is the
I am.
best town, and they have the most amazing golf courses, and we have a lot of friends that live there, including Aunt Gloria. You should stop by her house.
I will stop by and see Aunt Gloria. Sure, I've got nothing but time on my hand. It'd be nice to visit with her. Here's the thing. Get out of Illinois.
Yes.
That's not just a disposition, whereas Illinois leads the nation last several years running in outmigration. It's actually a website now, getoutofillinois.com.
Really?
Started by Jeff and Angela Kirsch, who left Illinois for North Carolina, found it is easier than they had thought, so they decided to help others get out of the state. And by the way, if you have a conversation with just about anybody on the topic of politics and the future of the state, in about the first 60 to 90 seconds, it inevitably turns to a discussion of exit strategies. Kids are in school for a couple more years, then we're gone. A couple more years on the job, we retire, then we're gone. That's the state of affairs. I don't celebrate it. I lament it as somebody who's lashed to the masts in Chicago. But nonetheless, this is happening, and I know that the Democrats say they're working on it. It's not as bad as we think, and there's plenty of blame to go around, but that's not particularly compelling to all the people that are leaving. Again, a net 114,000 people who left Illinois over the 12 months ending last July, leading the nation. Jeff and Angela Kirsch say that their website, I should say, getoutofillinois.com, offers suggestions and locations for people looking to leave the state, as well as advice on listing and selling. You combine when you combine the taxes, the weather, and the coming pension bills that have yet to arrive, said Jeff, all of those things together are what made us seek greener pastures. He's now working as a physician's assistant outside of Charlotte. His wife has a real estate business, so this website dovetails nicely with what she's doing. And they just basically said, look, high taxes in particular, the cost of living versus what we're getting in return is essentially what drove us out, and that is not an unfamiliar story. And it's so familiar that one Amy Jacobson would even go from one high-tax state to another. Even California looks like a relatively low-tax state compared to Illinois.
Yeah, but if you're going to pay high taxes, I mean, you might as well pay high taxes when there's sun shining down on you. I mean, there's no sun here. The sun's been gone for 2 weeks now. Gets a little lonely out here, okay?
Hey, Orphan Annie, the sun will come out tomorrow when there's a new administration. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, did you hear what Dick Durbin is doing?
Nope, must have missed it.
Well, he's decided that rather than address the big issues like health care and taxes, he's going to play games with the Supreme Court. He may join a crazy effort to block a Supreme Court nominee forever.
That's so ridiculous. I mean, it made sense not to do anything with the court during the middle of the election, but now it's time to move on.
Totally. And what bothers me the most is it's like he's forgotten who he represents. I mean, crime is out of control right now. Just look at Chicago. Every single day, there's some horrifying new headline.
Yeah, and look what's happened downstate. The drug epidemic is terrorizing small towns. It's ripping families apart and turning the countryside into a problem area just like Chicago.
He needs to get it together. He needs to pay attention to us again and work on our problems. We have plenty.
Yeah, Dick Durbin shouldn't be grandstanding about a Supreme Court nominee and creating more gridlock. We deserve better than that.
Paid for by Judicial Crisis Network.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity. All that's missing from the left's vaudevillian transition out of power is for the president, their senators, and media handmaidens to don horn-rimmed glasses and grease-painted mustaches. Those are my principles, and if you don't like them, well, I have others. The Groucho Marx impersonations abound. It's bad for Russia to laud Trump. That makes him Putin's Manchurian candidate. It's good for Cuba to laud Obama. That makes him a humanitarian. Senator Elizabeth Warren is quite worried about the Trump family leveraging the federal government for private gain. Senator Elizabeth Warren was indifferent to Hillary leveraging the State Department to fund the Clinton Foundation for the private gain of the Clinton family. It's wrong for the Trump team to threaten to kick CNN's Jim Acosta out of a press conference for being disruptive. It was a non-event when the Obama team kicked conservative outlets off his campaign plan for being conservative. It is compassionate when Obama opens the door to Central American refugees seeking asylum. It is compassionate when Obama closes the door to Central American refugees hailing from Cuba, also seeking asylum, in order to appease a communist dictatorship. If the left didn't have their situational ethics, they would have none at all.
Hi, I'm Todd Pals, owner of Homewood Bat Company, a top quality baseball bat made right here in the Chicagoland area. Homewood Bat Company is all about using the best in materials and craftsmanship to create a truly remarkable baseball bat. I've been a client of Precision Payroll for a number of years, and when I started the Homewood Bat Company, I wanted them on my team. From working with me when I had 1,200 employees at another company, and now with less than 50, their service has been exceptional and their value is unrivaled. You want more runs in the game? Give Homewood Bat Company a look. You need a home run for your business? Precision Payroll should be the next call you make.
Thank you, Todd. It is so cool to see you make Americana. Precision Payroll would like to go to bat for you. Call me at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. Or on the web at precisionpayroll.com.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West will be here. But let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, sheriffs are searching Indian Head Park for suspects after a reported home invasion there. A deadly crash in Algonquin being investigated. A longtime White Sox outfielder, Tim Raines, elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Cloudy and milder day ahead. Your full forecast after Fox. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster. It's President Obama's last full day in office. His schedule mostly empty except for packing up and a final weekly lunch with Vice President Biden. We are expecting one last round of pardons and sentence commutations, mostly for people serving long sentences for non-violent drug offenses. President-elect Trump's final cabinet pick is former Georgia Governor Sonny Perdue for Agriculture Secretary. There are two more confirmation hearings today.
Former Texas governor and Republican presidential candidate Rick Perry will face questions for a Senate panel. President-elect Trump nominated Perry to lead the Energy Department. Treasury Secretary nominee Steve Mnuchin testifies for the Senate Finance Committee. Tomorrow afternoon, just hours after President Trump is sworn in, the Senate could vote to confirm key national security officials, including nominees for Defense Secretary, Secretary of Homeland Security, and CIA Director. Senate committees could vote early next week on advancing Secretary of State nominee Rex Tillerson and UN Ambassador nominee Nikki Haley. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
In Chevy Chase, Maryland. A dance party last night near the Vice President-elect Mike Pence's rental house.
We are here and we will dance.
About 100 people, it looks like, they're protesting the Indiana governor's positions on LGBT issues. The British Prime Minister Theresa May says she wants a bold and ambitious trade arrangement when her country withdraws from the European Union.
Britain must face up to a period of momentous change. It means we must go through a tough negotiation and forge a new role for ourselves in the world.
She spoke at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. The latest round of recalls over faulty Takata airbags, 652,000 more vehicles in the United States made by 13 car companies. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Clouds and 34 degrees. It is 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. 4 Chicago police officers who were at the scene of the 2014 fatal shooting of Laquan McDonald have been suspended for failing to ensure the dashboard cameras in their squad cars were operating properly. Chicago's Office of Inspector General recommended the firing of 11 officers in connection to the shooting. Police are warning residents in the southwest suburbs to be careful as the search for a suspect in a violent home invasion continues. Authorities in Indian Head Park are on the scene at a home on Briarwood Court. Neighbors say they received text alerts from officials saying a person was hurt inside a home and a suspect was still at large. Charges are pending after police say a man stole packages from a FedEx truck and then left a 1-year-old child in a vehicle on Chicago's south side. The suspect fled from authorities in a vehicle yesterday after breaking into the truck. He eventually jumped out of the vehicle before police arrested him. The baby was found unharmed in the back seat and returned to her mother. Police are searching for a man suspected of breaking into a home and sexually assaulting a woman at Knife Point in northwest suburban Rolling Meadows. An investigation is underway following a deadly crash in Algonquin. A vehicle traveling on West Algonquin Road yesterday when it went off the road and slammed into a utility pole. Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan's office is suing the nation's largest student loan company, alleging unfair and deceptive practices with lending and debt collection. Chicago Sports Baseball Hall of Fame will welcome former White Sox outfielder Tim Raines, but he'll go in wearing the Expos cap. Former Sox outfielders Sammy Sosa and Manglio Ordonez were named on less than 8% of the ballots. Sosa, who went on to play for the Cubs, is in his 5th year on the Hall of Fame ballot. The news, a service of Lead Safe America. More than 1 in 3 American kids has lead in their blood. No level of lead is safe. Lead poisoning causes learning disabilities and behavioral disorders. Has your child been tested? Learn more at leadsafeamerica.org. 8:04 is our time. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network and a service of Turnkey.pro, here's Ginny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, Netflix is reporting its strongest subscriber growth since the company was founded, despite competition from rivals, including Amazon. Netflix shares climbed to a new high in after-hours trading. It added more than 7 million new subscribers in the recent quarter. More than 3/4 of the new Netflix users are outside the U.S. Panasonic wants to be more than just a battery supplier for Tesla Motors electric cars. The company says it's interested in Tesla's self-driving system. It's hoping to work with Tesla on other technologies such as sensors. Panasonic and Tesla already work together on solar energy. Hotel company La Quinta is looking at splitting its business into 2 standalone companies. One would be for its hotel business, the other for the real estate it owns. The Dow declined 22 yesterday, NASDAQ up 16, S&P gained 4. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:05 in Chicago. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You need to understand that the way you build wealth is you do not use the evening news or CNN or Fox to set the tone of your emotions around your investing.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
If you're thinking of changing your investing patterns because you're watching the news, you need to turn off the news. You are in charge of your destiny.
Dave Ramsey. Weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
Attention shoppers, modern life deserves a modern way to pay. Say hello to MasterPass, the simple, secure way to pay from MasterCard. Not a fan of filling out shopping forms over and over again? MasterPass. Looking for a simple and secure way to buy all of your holiday gifts? MasterPass. Set it up once and you're free to shop online, in-app, or in your favorite stores. MasterPass. So next time, don't just buy it, MasterPass it. Accept it at select merchants.
These days, you gotta have a side hustle. And I'm not talking about a 9-to-5. I'm talking about driving with Uber. It's the ultimate side hustle. You wanna earn extra money? Drive with Uber. Have a few spare hours here and there? Drive with Uber. You like the idea of being your own boss? Drive with Uber. You'd make a great boss. You're probably driving right now. You should be earning. If you want your car to start making you money, then visit uber.com/drive now and get your side hustle on today. That's uber.com/drive now.
8:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Our AM 560 Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Northbound I-65 has delays 61st Avenue to 8094 with a crash on the ramp to westbound 8094. Eden's inbound, 20 minutes like Cook to Montrose, outbound 26. But the Kennedy, now an hour and 6 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 45 minutes from Montrose, 39 in the Express, outbound 31 to the airport. The Eisenhower, an hour and 17 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, an hour from Manheim, outbound 43 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound clear. Bryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound heavy 120 to Eau Plaine. Northbound bottled up from the Stevenson to 31st and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial slow Boughton to the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, here's our meteorologist Holly Holdren.
Mostly cloudy skies today, little rain late this afternoon, high 45. Rain tonight also with a low 38. Cloudy and mild Friday, high 46. Mostly cloudy and mild on Saturday with a high of 56. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560, The Answer.
33 at O'Hare, 35 along the lakefront. Next news 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I have enjoyed working with all of you. That does not, of course, mean that I've enjoyed every story that you have filed, but that's the point of this relationship. You're not supposed to be sycophants. You're supposed to be skeptics. You're supposed to ask me tough questions.
We offered a much larger room because we need a much larger room, and we offered to do that, but they went crazy. And they'll be begging for a much larger room very soon. You watch.
Yes, we're a compassionate society.
No, we are not a compassionate society. In terms of our relationship to poor and working people, our record is worse than virtually any other country on earth.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, 24 hours to go before the change in administrations. President Obama having his last press conference yesterday. Tearful press corps, parting such sweet sorrow between the two between the administration and the D.C. press corps. President Obama also asked, of course, about his decision to commute the sentence of, traitor.
Yeah.
Traitor? Is traitor a fair word? I think it's a fair word.
I thought you were deciding between Bradley or Chelsea Manning. Because he referred to her as a she.
It's Chelsea, don't call me Bradley Manning. XY chromosome means you're a dude. So I'm glad we could get that cleared up. President Obama explained his decision to commute the sentence in spite of a lot of criticism, even from some on the left.
First of all, let's be clear. Chelsea Manning has served a tough prison sentence. It has been my view that given she went to trial, that due process was carried out, that she took responsibility for her crime, that the sentence that she received was very disproportionate relative to what other leakers had received, and that she had served a significant amount of time, that it made sense to commute and not pardon her sentence.
So there's the explanation. Get a reaction to that. Somebody who has had a decorated military career. Our friend, Colonel Alan West, CEO of the National Center for Policy Analysis, of course, former congressman, and the author of the book, The Guardian of the Republic. Colonel West, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Dan and Amy. And since it's the first time, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. It's a Happy New Year for Chelsea, don't call me Bradley Manning. What did you think about the president's explanation for the commutation? The sentence wasn't proportional, served a good period of time, damsel in distress, again, more heroic work on the part of the president.
Well, first of all, I find it unconscionable. There is no explanation for what the president did. Army Private Bradley Manning was charged, tried, convicted, and sentenced and incarcerated at Fort Leavenworth Prison for, releasing 755,000 classified documents over to WikiLeaks. And there is proof that individuals' lives were put in danger because of the material that was leaked. And there were some that were aiding and helping the United States of America that lost their lives. So, 7 years out of 35 years, I don't see that as, something that was very harsh. If you do that type of crime, if you violate the Espionage Act, there are consequences. And look, let's be very honest. The only reason why Bradley Manning gained any sympathy from the president or from the left is because Bradley suffered from the mental condition called gender dysphoria. And that should not be something that we take in consideration when you violate the standards and the code of the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Well, don't you think they also took into consideration that he tried to commit suicide twice in the past 6 months?
Well, yeah, again, but that has to do with this mental condition that Bradley Manning suffered from. And so what I think that we really do learn from this, Dan and Amy, is that this whole thing about the transgender ban being lifted, this is, and this was determined by, not me, but it is classified as gender dysphoria. It is a mental condition, and the United States military should not be delving into this situation because, as we have learned from this case, it does have serious ramifications for the standards of conduct and also for the order and discipline of the United States of America. And obviously, according to Bradley Manning, he was confronting his gender dysphoria, which led him to do the things that he did as far as leaking those classified documents. So I think it is also a readiness and national security issue.
Yeah, I want to raise that issue that I don't think has been given the attention it deserves. David French, who served in the JAG Corps in Iraq, writes a National Review Online on the topic you're leading into here, which is looking at the sentence through the prism of the civilian justice system is wrong. You have to look at it through the prism of military justice, and then there's an additional component with respect to military justice. It's not just punishing bad acts. It's also in furtherance of military cohesion in terms of the effectiveness of combat units, the warrior ethos, he terms it. And that's why the sentences are so severe and appropriately so for traitorous actions, treasonous actions like Manning committed.
No, you're absolutely right. People need to understand the Uniform Code of Military Justice is completely different from the civilian system. When I was a commander in the military, we could take action against a soldier who didn't, was bouncing checks, or a soldier that was disobeying an order. I mean, if you tell your boss in a civilian job that, hey, look, I don't agree with this, I'm not going to do this, you can fire him, but there are other things that you can do in the military, such as, making people do extra duty, taking away pay. So what the president did with commuting the sentence of Bradley Manning was he truly undermined that Uniform Code of Military Justice. And what he said to the men and women in uniform, the men and women out there in our intelligence agencies, is that he believes that he's the arbiter of what is truly justice when it comes to people that are, putting our national security and our intelligence assets and individuals at risk. I don't think that's his decision to make.
All right, so Inauguration Day, less than 24 hours away until the swearing in, and there's a growing number of congressional members that are going to be boycotting. It's up to 51 now, I believe. Do you think there's anything wrong with members of Congress boycotting the inauguration, sitting this one out?
I think it is something hugely wrong with this because what they are doing is turning their back on our system of representative democracy. They are acting childish, immature, and petulant, and saying that if we don't get our way, we're not, we don't want to play. And they're setting a bad example for our young men and young women, for our children who will be watching today, to say that, we do not have to take part in what defines us as America, which is the peaceful transition of power in this country. Imagine, Dan and Amy, if 60 to 65 Republicans back in 2008 had said that we're not going to the inauguration. We just don't like this president.
Racist.
It's not about policies. It's just we don't like him.
Yeah, you would. Of course,
people would still be talking about it.
Well, and everybody who didn't go would be a racist. I mean, that would just be the response, the blanket response, which is the response from the left, almost regardless of actions by conservatives. So speaking of petulance and childlike behavior, I want to go to these confirmation hearings and. Comrade Bernie and Senator Pocahontas are really trying to outdo each other in terms of shrill grandstanding. And as the CEO of the National Center for Policy Analysis, Colonel West, you're involved in a range of issues, not just military, healthcare, and other public policy, healthcare in particular. And so the confirmation hearing of Dr. Tom Price yesterday, where Bernie Sanders said to Dr. Price that America is not a compassionate country, not compared to other Western countries, because health care is not a guaranteed right, quote unquote, in this country like it is in those other countries. What's your response to Comrade Bernie to that statement?
Well, for a socialist, I mean, he does believe that, health care and many other things are a right and not a privilege. We have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but unfortunately people like Bernie Sanders and the progressive socialist left believe that they're the ones that can guarantee happiness. I don't see people trying to swim from the United States of America or get on makeshift rafts to go to Cuba. I mean, and I think that was one of the countries that he brought up. This is an incredibly compassionate nation. When there are, horrible things that happen in other countries, the United States of America is always there. And when you look at people here, we do have programs such as Medicaid that takes care of those folks at or below the poverty line. We do have programs such as Medicare. But what we continue to see is a progressive socialist left that does not believe that people should be able to pursue their happiness. They want to keep them wedded to government. They want to make sure that they continue to economically and truthfully, mentally enslave them to be dependent upon government. That's why, as we see this is the last day of the Obama administration, look at the incredible expansion of the welfare nanny state. Look at how many more people are on food stamps, how many more people are in poverty, because the left is not concerned about how we can help ourselves to rise up out of our situations. They want to keep us there so that they can continue to have individuals as part of their electoral base.
Colonel West, I want to get your take on the nominations in particular. I mean, I should say in general rather than just a particular nomination. One of the things, and this came out in an exchange again between Comrade Bernie and Scott Pruitt, your neighbor to the west there in Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Attorney General for EPA Secretary, is this idea that whether it's Jeff Sessions or Scott Pruitt or others, I'm an administrator. Hey, you all legislate, you make laws, I enforce laws. So demanding that I tell you what my personal view is on climate change or any other matter is assuming that it's okay for federal agencies to legislate. And what you've heard, which is refreshing from the likes of a Pruitt, the likes of a Sessions, is we're not legislators. We're administrators, and there's a difference, and that difference seems to be completely lost on the left, and I just hope that difference holds up when these individuals are cabinet secretaries running these federal agencies.
Well, no, you're absolutely right, and what you saw in those two confirmation hearings when it comes to this whole climate change thing, that's the religion of the left, and they are just vehemently embracing that, and they will castigate anyone that does not agree with them in a negative light. But we need to get back to an executive branch that executes the laws from the legislative branch. We don't need to have an executive branch that acts as a bureaucratic administrative state that rules this nation by edict or executive order or uses rules and regulations as a means of revenue generation, which is a completely unconstitutional act because the origination clause says that all revenue-generating matters come from the House of Representatives. They don't come from the EPA. So I think that you're going to see an incredible recommitment to our system of governance as a constitutional republic, which is not how we have been acting in the past 8 years. We've been more so of a constitutional monarchy under Barack Obama.
He is Colonel Allen West, President and CEO of the National Center for Policy Analysis in Dallas. Of course, former congressman, the author of the book, The Guardian of the Republic. And also, we sat down for an Against the Current long-form interview for upstream-ideas.com, did Colonel West and I, right before the election. A lot of important insights from Colonel West in that discussion that are applicable after the election and as we're on the cusp of a new administration. So check that out. Colonel West, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Enjoy.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Some gray skies today, a little rain by this afternoon, a high of 45 degrees. Tonight, some rain in areas and late night fog. And tomorrow morning, guess what? We're going to have more fog. Otherwise cloudy and mild, a high of 46. But the good news is Saturday we can hit a high in the mid to upper 50s. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Northbound I-65, slow going 53rd Avenue to 8094. There's a crash in the right lane on the ramp to westbound 8094. Edens is 21 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 24 the Kennedy. Now 1 hour and 9 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 48 minutes from Montrose, 37 in the Express. Outbound 30 to the airport, the Ike. 1 hour and 17 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, 1 hour and 2 minutes from Mannheim. Outbound 38 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, 1 hour and 5 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 5. Ryan, 34 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, bottled up from Hollywood to North Avenue and 18th to the Stevenson. Southbound Tri-State's the 120 to Eau Plaine. Northbound from the Stevenson to 31st and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial still Boughton to the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
No more excuses, gentlemen. It's a new year, and you need to stop putting things off, especially when it comes to taking care of your health. Dan Proft here. I know we all hate going to the doctor. That's why Low T Center makes it quick and easy to get your testosterone levels checked. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and with the convenience of their on-site lab, you'll know your results in about 20 minutes. So if you're drinking coffee or energy drinks just to get through the day, or if you always feel like you need a nap, you may have low T. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and even cause weight gain. That's why I personally recommend going to my friends at Low T Center. They accept most health insurance, are in-network for most providers, have flexible hours, including on Saturdays. So don't hesitate to find out what your number is this new year. Sure glad I did. Call my friends at Low T Center and tell them I sent you. Call 630-409-4305. That's 630-409-4305. Call Low T Center at 630-409-4305 or visit them online at lowtcenter.com.
Hey, Pete, 20 more pallets backing up right now. Come over here with the forklift. Don't bring them in here, man. We've got no place to put them, and we're officially out of room, buddy.
JRC Warehousing.
Well, we're getting 20 pallets dumped right here, whether we like it or not. Well, unless they get stored in your living room, I don't know what to tell you.
JRC Warehousing.
It says right here in our inventory system that we have room for 50. And you're going to trust the control system that's older than my great-grandparents?
JRC Warehousing.
We can't be the only place that's run a storage room before, man. Think. Yeah, how about I go buy one of those magic wands for you? Good luck.
JRC Warehousing offers complete solutions for your warehouse and trucking demands. No magic wands needed. Trucking requirements? No problem. Warehouse storage? No problem. Pull a rabbit out of your hat by calling JRC Warehousing for a no-obligation needs analysis and quote. 847-329-5030. That's 847-329-5030. Or visit jrcwarehousing.com.
Hey, Sean Hannity here with some exciting automotive news. Nissan dealers in the Midwest are set for a record-breaking year in 2017. Now, demand is going to be way up, but room must be made at local dealerships, just like Woodfield Nissan in Hoffman Estates. And the good news for you is this is your chance to save big on all the remaining 2016 Nissans. Woodfield Nissan has a huge selection of 2016 Nissan Altimas, Sentras, and Rogues now available at clearance pricing. Get Woodfield Nissan's lowest price on a Nissan Sentra, clearance price for only $12,995. A 2016 Nissan Rogue clearance price for only $15,995 and a 2016 Nissan Altima clearance priced at $15,295. Woodfield Nissan has a massive Nissan inventory and massive Nissan savings all month long. The real 2016 Nissan year-end clearance has begun and is for a limited time at Woodfield Nissan, just 2 miles west of the Woodfield Shopping Mall at Golf and Higgins, or just go to woodfieldnissan.com.
Prices are plus tax, title, license, and doc fee and are pre-driven. Stock numbers Rogue number P9045, Altima number P9110, Sentra number P9111.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy. So, Amy, George Herbert Walker Bush, sadly, has been moved into the intensive care unit. Also, Barbara in the hospital. So, obviously, we wish them well. Hope they get better soon. But before he took ill, George Herbert Walker Bush penned a nice note to Donald Trump.
Yeah, this was dated January 10th. He said, "Dear Donald, Barbara and I are so sorry we can't be there for your inauguration on January 20th. My doctor says if I sit outside in January, it likely will put me 6 feet under. Same for Barbara. So I guess we're stuck in Texas. But we will be with you and the country in spirit. I want you to know that I wish you the very best as you begin this incredible journey of leading our great country. If I can ever be of help, please let me know. All the best." Signed, George H.W. Bush.
It's a nice touch of class, a graciousness, particularly given the previous antagonism between the Bush family and Trump, particularly and especially during the campaign, and not just directed at Jeb, but also directed at George W. So,
well, Jeb is by his father's bedside because we know that Jeb loves his father.
I love my dad. I'd kill for him. I'd go to prison for him because I love him so much.
Yeah.
And George W. Bush is still scheduled to attend the inauguration with Barbara. Or with,
all right.
with Laura, his wife, I should say.
Yes. But it's nice. So the understanding that the country comes first, whatever our personal disagreements or antagonisms, the country comes first. They want Donald Trump to be successful so that America is successful. Kind of a bygone era. But another example of this, and from an unusual sector, but not an unusual individual, Bono. Bono, in a recent interview, had this to say about the Trump election. A call for humility from the entertainment industry. Well, Bono's kind of an outlier. But he said, in a democracy, the people get the last word, and that's the way it should be. I oppose Trump while all the time understanding that many people who support him are the kind of people I grew up with and can see myself in to this day. In my head, at least, the election result demanded I ask myself several questions. Am I missing something here? Am I out of touch with American values? Am I out of touch with the American people? It's clear a giant constituency in the country felt ignored or patronized. They're fearful of the future, as are a growing number of Europeans. I understand and respect that, and I want to try and understand those fears better. I think a little humility might be important for me here. I certainly want to understand better just what happened. I'm not going to do that without crossing what are bright lines for me, like standing against the demonization of immigrants or refugees. But that's Bono calling for a little humility and exercising a little self-reflection that we find completely absent from, well, at least the Democrat members of Congress, particularly in the U.S. Senate, that have put themselves on display this week. So, shards of hope, even from the center left, although, again, I have to point out, in terms of intellect and thoughtfulness, Bono's a real outlier in entertainment.
But he's trying to make it cool maybe for other entertainers to try and get around or wrap their heads around a Donald Trump presidency.
Be more like Bono, you bedwetting Hollywood types. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
AM 560. The Answer.
Oh, there you go. In the name of love. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, time has arrived.
Humility.
Yes, the time has arrived. Trump is is hours away from becoming the 45th president of the United States. But first, let's go into the newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Fog and 35 degrees. Protesters are converging on Washington, D.C. for the inauguration. Alternative events begin with tonight's Peace Ball. President-elect Donald Trump will arrive in Washington, D.C. today ahead of his inauguration tomorrow. Fox's Rachel Sutherland reports on the very latest on preparations in D.C.
The inaugural platform is built and the chairs are set up on the west lawn of the U.S. Capitol. But a full third of the Democratic caucus will not attend the swearing-in ceremony. Former Presidents Jimmy Carter, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton will be there, as well as Hillary Clinton. New York Democrat Adriano Espaillat is not calling it a boycott.
It's patriotic, and so I'm exercising my right to dissent.
Meanwhile, 2 confirmation hearings will be held today for Rick Perry to lead the Energy Department and Stephen Mnuchin for Treasury Secretary. In Washington, Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
North Korea may be trying to send a message to President-elect Donald Trump. Military sources say South Korea's Yonhap news agency is reporting that North Korea has loaded 2 long-range missiles onto mobile launchers. Jewish community centers around the country are facing another wave of bomb threats. The association says as many as 27 threats were received at Jewish centers in 17 states yesterday. No bombs were found. Police continue warning residents in the southwest suburbs as the search for a suspect in a violent home invasion continues in and around Indian Head Park. Charges are pending after police say a man stole packages from a FedEx truck and then left a 1-year-old child in a vehicle on Chicago's south side. And the city of Chicago has lost another round in its effort to try and restrict the operation of gun ranges in the city. The Court of Appeals ruling as unconstitutional ordinances restricting gun ranges just to manufacturing areas in the city of Chicago. Chicago sports, Valley basketball on the college side. Drake beats Southern Illinois. Northern Iowa topped Loyola in double overtime, and Illinois State beat Bradley 69-49. The news is a service of Visit Florida. Warm up Chicago. Say hello, sunny. Greater Fort Lauderdale has miles of certified Blue Wave beaches with so many ways to play. Plan your beach escape at sunny.org. 8:34. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Mike Gallagher Show.
Today's Democratic Party, the party that thinks it's unreasonable to expect that a voter show their ID in order to cast a ballot. It's just blatant. They are just on the side. I don't know how else you describe it. If you're a Democrat and you resent this accusation, please call me. When I say Democrats are on the side of lawlessness, tell me where I'm wrong.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, best beans, best roast, best coffee.
If you own or manage a company with recycling needs, your goal is to maximize profits while minimizing waste. Chicagoland is home to a leading recycling company stacked with experts in the latest technology and innovation to effectively manage a wide range of industrial waste, including paper, plastic, cardboard, pallets, as well as shredding and document destruction. For over 3 decades, eco and profit-conscious companies have depended on Combined Resources, Inc. for customized strategies and solutions based on company operational processes. Clients work directly with a Combined Resource partner to ensure first-rate customer care, commitment, and convenience. It's easy to find out how your company can benefit from their first-rate recycling services. Request a free audit by calling 630-916-1804 or visit combinedresources.us. Maximizing recycling profits and minimizing waste. That's 630-916-1804 or online at combinedresources.us.
Hey, are you thinking about the IRS right now? Man, if the IRS is coming after you, your problem, your IRS problem is there day and night. You need help to fight the IRS. I recommend you call my very good friend, Attorney Stephen Leahy of Open Tax Resolutions. Hey, he's got a special offer going on right now. If you're not certain about your position with the IRS, he will pull your personal IRS transcripts and find out exactly where you stand for free. Find out where you stand if you owe back taxes, if you have unfiled returns. Hey, if you're afraid of the IRS, call my friend Steve Leahy now. 312-664-6649. Steve's the host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard every Sunday at 5 right here on AM 560. He's also a really good friend of mine, and I don't know of anybody better in dealing with the IRS. Call him now. Steve Leahy, 312-664-6649. That's 312-664-6649.
Hi, my name is Ray McElroy, former Chicago Bears player and chaplain and founder and CEO of the nonprofit Array of Hope on Earth. You know, running a successful nonprofit organization that serves at-risk, underserved youth in the inner city of Chicago presents its own set of challenges. I am so relieved that as a small, newer organization, we don't have to count our payroll and HR responsibilities as one of them because of the amazing service we receive from Precision Payroll of America. Not only do I appreciate the professional quality of Precision Payroll of America, but I also love that their values of faith, family, and fair and comprehensive service align perfectly with our own.
Thank you, Ray. For our great services, call me at 630-242-1507 or on the web at precisionpayroll.com. To support a great cause, check out arrayofhopeonearth.org.
Tom, you're the best, bro.
No, man, you're the best.
No, you're the best.
Oh, you the man.
No, for real, though. You the man.
8:37 and a check of the roads. On your way to work this morning? Let's get you there on time in our AM 560 Traffic Center with Jim.
Like there are delays on northbound I-65 with a crash on the ramp to westbound 8094 in the right lane. Delays start at 53rd Avenue. Eden's just 21 minutes like Cook to Montrose up on 26. The Kennedy hour and 8 minutes, O'Hare to downtown quicker in the Express. Outbound 27 minutes. The Eisenhower, an hour and 17 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. 38 minutes from on the outbound side. The Stevenson is an hour and 10 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 5. Ryan, 32 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, bottled up. Hollywood to North Avenue, and 18th to the Stevenson. Tri-State, southbound heavy 122 Oak Lane. Northbound it's slow. The Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Cloudy, milder, fog this morning, and then a little rain in the forecast for the afternoon. I'm near 45. 35 at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Secure Retirement Radio with host Raj Shah. Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And the question is this: will you allow, I suppose, your children to watch Donald Trump's inaugural address? And, or, if your little ones were in the Cub Scouts or the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, would you allow them to march in the inaugural parade? These are not idle questions. On the 312-642-5600 turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA turnkey.pro text line. Excuse me, these are not idle questions, Amy, as you know, because there is a fourth grade teacher in Michigan who has previously aired the inaugural addresses of, say, a Barack Obama to his fourth grade students as part of the civics, but is not going to broadcast the speech. He'll broadcast the inaugural parade, the festivities, but not the speech. And it's not coming from the perspective you might think. He wrote on a Facebook post and a missive to parents, because I'm concerned about my students and your children being exposed to language and behavior that is not in concert with the most conservative social and family values, I've decided to show the inauguration of Donald Trump this Friday, but we will not view Mr. Trump's inauguration speech. Do you buy that? Do you share that concern?
You think he's going to make degrading comments about minorities and women and the disabled? He's going to make fun of that reporter with cerebral palsy again? Of course not. I mean, this is the time.
I think he's going to reprise his greatest hits from the last 12 months. Yeah,
right. And then, you know what? He could just get up there and read tweets. No, it's similar to what he did at the RNC, but I hope it's a lot shorter. I hope it is not 72 minutes long, as he was when he accepted the nomination for the presidency for his party in Cleveland. But no, this teacher is way off. And if he showed the other inauguration speeches, then he should do that here. He's once again vilifying Donald Trump and making it seem like the president's a bad guy. He's sinister. Kids, beware.
Well, right.
Don't take candy from the crazy man.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just irresponsible.
And don't be fooled by the misdirection play, right? Saying inconsistent with the most conservative social and family values.
Yeah,
He's not coming from that perspective. He's using that as a thinly veiled cover story for his antagonism towards Trump and for his political activism as a fourth grade teacher, for goodness sakes. That's exactly what's happening. But it's not limited to that isolated fourth grade teacher in Michigan. You've had the Girl Scouts of America, who are scheduled to march in the inaugural parade tomorrow, along with the Boy Scouts of America, several military and veterans organizations. But because of Trump's statements about women, the sexist comments, some real and some alleged, the Girl Scouts are under political pressure to not participate, seeming to be, excusing the statements that Donald Trump has made in the past. What do you say to that, noted feminist Amy Jacobson?
I mean, come on. Oh, yeah, I'm a feminist Republican.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, yes, Donald Trump, not my ideal man when it comes to his level of respect for women, hoping that the gravity of the office will make him more mature. But you've got to respect the office of the presidency, even if you don't respect the man. And having, telling the Girl Scouts and trying to let them, get them pull out of the parade is ridiculous. And it's similar to what happened at Olivet Nazarene, University with a marching band. They're the only band from the state of Illinois that's performing tomorrow. And they still had some students and some alumni saying, he's not Christian. You can't go. We're based on Christianity here at this university. And it's, a slap in our face if you let the band march at the inauguration parade.
Well,
and it doesn't stop with Girl Scout cookie or Girl Scouts. It goes on with, even young adults.
Not to mention, Girl Scouts of America, hardly a bastion of conservatism. We've reported before the donations to Planned Parenthood from Girl Scouts of America. Yikes. But here's something that may improve Donald Trump's standing in your mind, Amy. A bit of chivalry. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Remember Tom Ford, the noted fashion designer and now filmmaker. I got to say, Nocturnal Animals, his latest film, good stuff.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. It's on
it's
my
good.
list.
It's good. It's worth seeing. You got to separate the art from the artist. Here's Tom Ford, though. You recall he said that he would not make a dress for Melania while she was in the White House because his clothes are, quote, too expensive for a first lady to wear, noting that in that position she would have to relate to everybody. That was his cover story for why he wouldn't outfit the first lady. Certainly that wasn't an issue for some of these same designers when it came to Michelle, but okay. Well, in response to that, as Donald Trump relayed to Ainsley Earhart on Fox and Friends in that interview that we played some clips from earlier, never asked Tom. The point of fact is Melania, according to Trump, never asked Tom Ford, doesn't like Tom Ford, doesn't like his designs, of course not. And he went on to say, Tom Ford, in his example, to make Tom Ford an example, Steve Wynn called him, Trump, and said he thought it was so terrible what Tom Ford said that he threw his clothing out of his Las Vegas hotel. Now, Tom Ford does not have actually a clothing boutique in the Wynn. I know because I am.
Yes, you were just there where you lost everyone's money. Your own money.
Also, as you will recall, my storied history as a runway model. So I'm very knowledgeable about this industry.
The legs.
Well, thank you. I didn't want to bring it up, but I just, I command the stage when I'm on that catwalk. I think that's clear.
You are the cat's meow, yes.
But Wynn Las Vegas did confirm that it removed the Tom Ford line of cosmetics and sunglasses from the resort this past weekend. They can afford to, based on what I gambled away last weekend. But nonetheless, it is a statement that Steve Wynn's making. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Do you have newfound respect for Donald Trump rallying to the defense of Melania and punishing Tom Ford along with his buddy Steve Wynn?
I think it's great. It just proves, Dan, that chivalry is not dead, even when it comes to his wife's fashion sense. But, there's so many other designers out there that he's just trying to make a name for himself, like, look at me, I'm standing against the man. Yeah,
and I think, am I right, Ralph Lauren is outfitting Melania?
Yes, and she will be changing because I don't know if you know this, but I'm a chick and I care about this stuff. She'll be changing gowns in between the balls because they're going to be attending 3 different balls. So she has 3 different outfits.
Oh, well.
Just in case you care.
I'm looking forward to the costume changes. That is actually something that, people are interested in because the First Lady is often seen as like a fashion.
Oh, she's a fashion icon. Look at Jackie Kennedy. Everybody loves her. She's gone, unfortunately, of course. I don't know in case you knew that. But everybody still, she had a great fashion sense. And I love Michelle Obama. I know you don't, but I think she's strikingly gorgeous.
Oh,
and
it's ravishing.
All 200 pounds of her.
Yes, as you called her weight. Don't put that on me.
Oh.
That was an Amy Jacobson suggestion.
But in just
guessing her weight.
In just a few hours, Donald Trump will be leaving New York. He's going to fly to Washington on a military aircraft, and at 1:45 our time, he and Mike Pence are going to make their way to the Arlington Cemetery and lay down a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown. And then they're going to have that concert, the Lincoln Memorial, and have a candlelight dinner. And tonight he's going to spend the night.
Sounds very romantic.
Yes.
I'll tell you, that's a nice piece. The other thing is when they come upon a well-staged puddle, Donald Trump is going to take off his coat and put it down so Mike Pence can walk over it to show that his chivalry is not gender specific.
Well, tonight Donald Trump is going to spend the night at the Blair House, and keeping with tradition, then in the morning he wakes up and he ceremoniously walks across the street, has coffee with President Obama, and then the swearing-in ceremonies begin. So it's
let's
going to be a
go-
lot of pomp and circumstance. I can't wait. I'm, and of course, Dan, just so you know, I'm recording it for Peyton and Eli because they are going to be at school tomorrow, and there are no plans to show it during school hours.
Oh, shocking, yes. Lee and Hammond, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
You know, I had a question. How is it that because of the Johnson rule that the ministers cannot politically advocate from the pulpit, but all day long you got these left-wing, wingnut teachers brainwashing these kids? Like, you know, you guys mentioned the thing up in Winnetka the other day with the political correctness spiel that's going on up there and their re-education camp kind of thing. How is that? Doesn't anybody see the hypocrisy in this besides you guys?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Lee. Well, I mean, by the way, you'll take judicial notice of the Father Flagers of the world and, frankly, a lot of black ministers who are none too shy about politics from the pulpit. It's just the more conservative types, conservative Catholics and evangelical Christians that are less likely to engage in those sort of, in the use of a faith institution for politics. So it's a bit of a bit of an uneven occurrence, but in terms of political activism replacing education, political activism replacing faith, I mean, all you need to go to do is go to that cult that Amy goes to.
We used to have it. Well, I was going to tell you tonight, if you get back in time from your flight home from Los Angeles, we're having a pre-inauguration vigil. So at 6:30 tonight, they're going to host this vigil. They're inviting us to take a half hour to center ourselves with music and scripture and offering communal prayers for our country as our government transitions from the presidency of Barack Obama to Donald Trump. All are welcome.
And when does the self-immolation occur? Is that the close?
Stop it.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Coming up next, he's Indiana's #1 Hoosier, and he's wearing red, and he's ready to go. But first, here's your forecast. Mostly cloudy today, milder. Fog in the morning, then rain this afternoon, a high of 45. Let's get to it. The travel times. How's the inbound Kennedy? Jim Telemonte.
Well, Amy, on the inbound Kennedy, it's still pretty heavy right now with delays starting around Austin. It is an hour and 7 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 45 minutes from Montrose, 39 in the Express. Outbound, just a 6-minute delay, Montrose to Sayre. Eden's 20 minutes, like Cook to Montrose. Outbound, 23. The Eisenhower's an hour and a half. Thorndale to downtown, an hour 17 from Manheim. Outbound, just 30 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 6 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Bryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. And in the land of the Hoosiers, northbound I-65 has some rare delays. It's heavy, 53rd Avenue to 8094 with a crash on the ramp to the westbound Gorman. That's traffic on AM 560, The Answer.
Here at HealthQuest, our high standard of health care doesn't come from a sickness care perspective, and neither should yours. And if you're not as healthy as you should be and you're sick and tired of those health challenges, please call us. As we say here at HealthQuest, don't just stand there, do something. Do something good for yourself. Just this one time. This is Dr. David Kobaba. If you're like me and my wonderful HealthQuest staff, well, we know how much you love helping others in this challenging world of ours. Now, if you could raise your level of health and wellness, well then you could be of greater service to those you know and love. What a great perspective, but you've got to put this intention into action. So just don't stand there. Do something. Call our HealthQuest radio hotline right now, 1-800-794-1855. Do it now for yourself and a better future with higher health. 1-800-794-1855.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
You need to understand that the way you build wealth is you do not use the evening news or CNN or Fox to set the tone of your emotions around your investing.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
If you're thinking of changing your investing patterns because you're watching the news, you need to turn off the news. You are in charge of your destiny.
Dave Ramsey. Weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity. All that's missing from the left's vaudevillian transition out of power is for the president, their senators, and media handmaidens to don horn-rimmed glasses and grease-painted mustaches. Those are my principles, and if you don't like them, well, I have others. The Groucho Marx impersonations abound. It's bad for Russia to laud Trump. That makes him Putin's Manchurian candidate. It's good for Cuba to laud Obama. That makes him a humanitarian. Senator Elizabeth Warren is quite worried about the Trump family leveraging the federal government for private gain. Senator Elizabeth Warren was indifferent to Hillary leveraging the State Department to fund the Clinton Foundation for the private gain of the Clinton family. It's wrong for the Trump team to threaten to kick CNN's Jim Acosta out of a press conference for being disruptive. It was a non-event when the Obama team kicked conservative outlets off his campaign plan for being conservative. It is compassionate when Obama opens the door to Central American refugees seeking asylum. It is compassionate when Obama closes the door to Central American refugees hailing from Cuba, also seeking asylum, in order to appease a communist dictatorship. If the left didn't have their situational ethics, they would have none at all.
If you own a business, you'll do everything you can to keep the lights on. The thing is, keeping those lights on can be much more cost-effective than you ever imagined. And Twin Supplies can help. Twin Supplies specializes in helping businesses, public entities, and nonprofits get energy efficient with their lighting and take advantage of incentives from utility companies to help with energy improvement costs. From restaurants to schools, churches, and stadiums, they'll walk you through every step to realize maximum money savings and energy efficiency. Your maintenance staff will spend less time changing bulbs with worry-free fixtures that feature up to a 10-year warranty. Plus, the quality of your lighting will improve, resulting in improved working conditions and safety. Find out how much your commercial business can save with a free energy audit from Twin Supplies. Utility companies change their incentives frequently and funds can run out. Now is the time to take action. Don't wait. Call 630-590-5138 or log on to twinsupplies.net and take charge of your business's energy efficiency. Twinsupplies.net.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth. I had a failed root canal and it was causing me pain. Dr. Neruzzi took care of my tooth and I got my implant, and then I had another after that fail and he did that one as well. Places they'll tell you just, get the implant the day you get your tooth extracted. We'll do it all in one day. And he